Located by the North Carolina border, Martinsville Speedway is 137 miles. Located by the North Carolina border, Martinsville Speedway is 137 miles from Charlotte, about 291 miles to our nation's capital, and that's where we are. You're in the middle of it all and have a front row seat, and whatever your location, when you're going around this half-mile track, sometimes massaging the brakes, slowing down to speed up can be a key to winning. In his University of Farmers report, our Jeff Hammond breaks it all down.
Folks, now we all understand when it comes to having brakes, you rely on those. But here at Martinsville, it's not a need, it's a must. They've got to be great brakes. We're not talking about the small brakes that we see every other racetrack. We're talking about the big brakes. Brakes that cost up to $40,000. Because of the fact you're coming around this racetrack here at Martinsville and you're counting on these brakes to stop you over 1,000 times. You're going to be hitting the brake pedal during the course of this race. The driver has got to take care of those brakes. So the crew chief's going to be telling the driver, stay off the brakes. Save your brakes. It's going to be brake, brake, brake.
Take care of your stuff, take care of those brakes.
Guys, if your brakes fail, it may stop your day.
Michael, your thoughts?
You got $40,000 worth of brakes? They better work. I want my driver to go.
Any drivers better at handling those when it counts?
You know, the top guys that win here and run well here, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, he'll be fast today. There's a lot of guys that know how to handle their brakes. The thing that they have trouble handling is their temper sometimes. You got to not only keep your brakes cool, but you better keep your head cool.
Put your brakes on your temper when you go at it. And some of the drivers that we have here that have done well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually 3 straight top 10 Martinsville finishes. Carl Edwards only one top 5 finish in the last 15 races here. So the competition heating up, and we're ready to hear those words we like to hear every weekend.
Race fans, please welcome Goody spokesman and NASCAR Hall of Famer, the King, Mr. Richard Petty, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
You get the sense all the other drivers are saying, how do we keep Tony Stewart, who starts 15th, out of victory lane? Let's bring in the guys who will be calling at today's race. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy. And, you know, Mike, we know why Darrell likes this place. He's won 11 times. Larry Mack won here as a crew chief with Ernie Irvin. But why is Martinsville one of your favorite places?
Well, Chris, it's settled in a little neighborhood. You have a nice, pleasant drive up here. You walk in through the neighborhood into the racetrack, and then you're at this modern super speedway that is just like the track you remember when you first came here as a boy. I get all choked up coming here. I love this place. But, Darrell, it's not easy to win here. Several drivers have a lot of wins here, but not many have mastered this place.
No, but listen. Do you hear this? That's music, baby. That is music when those engines fire up, but it's like a dance. It's like a waltz. You just don't want to step on your partner's toes. You got to really focus really hard here. It's 500 laps, round and around and around with people all over you. If you're claustrophobic, you might not like this joint.
You're right on top of the action. Larry, 8 former winners in the field here, but only 3 of them start inside the top 10.
Yeah, we've got a lot of heavy hitters starting outside the top 20, including Jimmy Johnson, who's won here 6 times. All 3 of the Roush Fenway drivers, including our points leader, Greg Biffle, starting outside the top 20. I think it's going to be a day of comers and goers, and as we saw in the fall, when Tony Stewart won this race here, it normally takes to about the last 100, 150 laps to see who the real favorite here is.
A beautiful spring day for racing in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. We're ready to go at Martinsville.
Time for a little Martinsville madness.
This is short track race at its finest.
It's going to get crazy. Kyle Busch. Yep, here comes Kyle. That 14 car looks good. I mean, this car has become alive this year. Now it's going to get interesting. We've got a battle for the lead. And this joint can give you a headache. Oh, boy. This is going to be fun.
That's the kind of action and excitement you expect here. Since 1947, this little half mile has just been one of NASCAR's great cathedrals of speed. The shape of the track unchanged since it was first laid out by Clay Earls, Alvin Hawkins, and Bill France Sr. And you're never shortchanged on the action here. Field forms up in the back straightaway and begins to roll. Let's have a look at the Geico starting grid for today's race. Casey Kane has become the first two-time pole winner this season, and Kevin Harvick, last year's winner, has the outside pole. Denny Hamlin's won 4 of 8 here. Clint Boyer, top 10 the last 4 spring races at Martinsville. Ryan Newman, second here in 07. Brian Vickers, 5th at Bristol, led a lot of laps. Brad Keslowski's won 2 of the last 4 short track races, and Kyle Busch has 8 short track wins. 7-time Martinsville winner, most in the field, Jeff Gordon, there with Joey Logano. And Darrell, let's get on the phone.
Hey, Kansas, this is Kentucky. You got a copy? Who? Yeah, you know who. Tomorrow, you ready for tomorrow night?
You know it, buddy. You know it. Proud of my boys. The little team from Kansas coming your way.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're going to be in trouble, but how about today? How's things looking for today?
Really good. Just really proud of the guys for bringing me another great 5-hour energy Toyota. Fun racetrack right here. Small town of Martinsville. Looking forward to a good race. Awesome starting up front. Hopefully we keep it up here. Good track position and win this baby.
All right, my friend, good luck. You got 5-hour energy. That thing lasts about 4. You ought to have a little reserve. Go get them.
Thank you.
Clint Boyer will start 4th. As you look through the rest of the 43-car field, 46 attempted, 3 drivers ended up going home. Among those that timed in, got in the field on speed, were Scott Riggs and Reed Sorensen. Ken Schrader's made 50 starts here. And Joe Nemechek, after missing last week, back in the show. David Stremme had a lap quick enough to make the field, as did Dave Blaney. Hermie Sadler's in the 33, big story there, and J.J. Yaley is in the field. There's a story there as well. Today's race brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. The 1 lap to go at the line. Richard Petty gave the command to fire engines. He was the relief Grand Marshal. Award-winning actor Gary Sinise was scheduled to be here, but could not make it. It's going to hit 70 today. Late afternoon, it will get warmer and cloudier as the day goes on as we run 500 laps.
You'll feel like you got hit about 70 times when you run this race.
See right there, pit road speed 30 miles per hour. The fuel window for Sunoco fuel, 125 to 135 laps.
$9,500 RPM at the end of the straightaway, and you bog down to a mere 5,000 in the middle of the corner, launch off the corner, and you do that 1,000 times.
Baby's got to have some grunt here. Got to grunt up out of that corner. But that's not what we're getting ready for now. Getting ready to drop the green flag on this baby. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Drag race down the 800-foot backstretch, drag strip. And Harvick wasn't first to the flag, but he powers off 4 with the lead.
Darrell, we were not sure about that second groove, but boy, Kevin Harvick in that 29 made it work right from the drop of the green.
Larry, Harvick dominated the truck race here yesterday. Led 248 to 250 laps. All of his restarts were on the outside. And, I asked him, in the pre-race show, could you dominate like you did yesterday? And he thinks he can, and he's off to that good start.
At 6th, Brad Keselowski underneath Brian Vickers, who's in the 55 this week after having that great drive a couple of weeks ago at Bristol. Jeff Gordon moves underneath. And if the car's not perfect, Darrell, it's a tough time to be on the high side.
Well, yeah, and you can get freight train here. As you said, like Talladega, when you get up on that outside and that conveyor belt's down on the bottom, you're going to have a hard time finding a hole to drop into. And just remember, Brian last year here was the star of the show for all the wrong reasons. And this is a test of your patience right away. You need a break, and you can't get one.
Jeff Gordon dropped to the inside on Brad Keselowski, as Keselowski didn't get a good launch off turn 2. That allowed Gordon to slip underneath and make the pass. 6th place.
Well, Jeff Gordon started this race in the 9th position. Not a surprise to see him in that 24 car moving forward. He won both practice sessions on Friday.
Yeah, it obviously had a really good race setup. Missed a little bit for qualifying, but I've said over and over again, if you want to see a master at work at a place, at a track, watch that 24 car. He's one of the all-time best.
Gordon comes in here as the favorite to give Rick Hendrick a somewhat long-awaited 200th career Sprint Cup victory. His very first came right here at this track.
Yeah, Rick was feeling really good. He had Casey Kane and HendrickCar.com car on the pole. And, of course, the history of Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson here, he's prepared to win his 200th race here this weekend. And don't forget, that's all Cup races.
Right. Kyle Busch, Paul Menard, nose to tail, with Dale Jr. looking in. Jr. finished a strong 2nd here last year, losing the lead to Harvick in the closing stages. That's green car's Jamie McMurray on the outside. New look for the number 1 as he works Regan Smith and pulls up to the back bumper of Brian Vickers' 55. Jimmy Johnson moving forward in the 48. Watching from Jimmy's onboard. And he clears that group.
Yeah, that 55 of Vickers, he cannot get down. And I'm watching him, Mike, and he's being so cautious not to cut down in front of somebody and cause a problem.
And Darrell, so far, he seems to be the only driver that can't do something in the 2nd groove. I watched Joey Logano in the 20. He was able to maintain up there in the 2nd groove.
Matt Kenseth to the inside, working hard there for 21st place in the 17 against Vickers, McMurray, and Casey Mears.
Again, Mike Larry, here we go. A battle for 3rd, and there they moved Hamlin up out of the way, and there goes Boyer by and brings Jeff Gordon right with him. Those 2 cars are pretty fast right now.
Jeff Burton told me this morning, you drive this race on the edge of your seat because there aren't that many opportunities to pass. And when one presents itself, you have to pounce on it or it may not happen again for 30, 50 laps.
And you're not sure, Mike. You're always right at that point where, is he going to let me in or not? And if he doesn't, then you're going to run over him.
Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, as DW said, Jeff Gordon, a little bit of a bobble in qualifying. He was tight. Crew Chief Alan Gustafson has said this car is neutral. They have a lot of adjustability built into it. So far, they don't need it because he's moving to the front. As Chris Meyer said, he's never been this deep in the points, but 7 wins here and close to 3,100 laps led.
Yeah, Steve, bobbled in qualifying. Qualified 9th, 8/100ths of a second off the pole. It was so tight in qualifying.
2 Toyotas in the top 5, including Denny Hamlin, who started this race 3rd in the number 11, Matt.
Drop back to 5th, Mike, chasing his 5th grandfather clock. Denny says the track much different than it was on Friday. He needs more help on drive off, meaning more grip on exit the corner. He says that's where he feels like the track has really changed the most.
3rd place, here comes Big Daddy.
And see, that is so smart on Boyer's part. He knows that Gordon's a little quicker than he is. Now, you can take a chance and keep cutting him off. He's going to get into you, knock you up in that loose stuff, and you're going to lose a lot more spots than that one he gave up.
Krista, how about Brad Keselowski in the Blue Deuce?
Keep your eye, Mike, on that number 2. Brad Keselowski talking to the team today. I said, where do you sacrifice, drive off or turnability? He said, neither. We are good on both.
Boy, Hamlin got kicked up to the outside. Ryan Newman got him after Hamlin did. And here's Dale Jr. battling Paul Menard, 9th place.
Hamlin looks to me like he might have a bit of a problem. He's really backing up early, backing the corner up, not getting off good either. People are really starting to hound him.
Look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of people pointing at he in this 88 car. Remember, a year ago was leading up to 4 laps to go, got passed by Kevin Harvick.
17 laps complete at Martinsville Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
25 laps complete. Your new leader is Jeff Gordon. Kevin Harvick led the first 21 circuits from the drop of the green flag. And Jeff Gordon made the move to take the lead now 5 laps ago. Here it is.
Piece of cake. Gets a good run, and of course Harvick says he's faster than I am. It's a little early. Give him the spot right now. Let's size him up. Get there, run behind him. See where's he beating me at.
Trying to get John Brink in here. He's by himself, inside by himself. Fastest car on the track right now, 2-4.
That's pretty accurate. Steve.
And although he's taking the lead, Mike, Jeff Gordon saying the track is starting to tighten up as more rubber is being laid down. We've heard several drivers say that as well.
And that's something that you never are able to duplicate in practice, is the amount of rubber that goes on this racetrack, plus from the truck race yesterday.
Now, Jeff Gordon just put a lap on J.J. Yaley in the 49. If you watched qualifying on speed yesterday, you know that Yaley missed the field. But Tony Rain's time, which was fast enough to qualify, Larry, disallowed.
Yeah, he was too low. And NASCAR checks every one of the go-or-go-homers in post-qualifying. They had checked J.J. Yaley in the 49, and sure enough, it pulled him right into the field when they disallowed Tony Raines' time.
Chassis height too low?
Too low in the front, yes.
I mean, guys, we've run 30 laps, and Larry, that's about the optimum amount of laps to run to get tire pressure pretty much built up where you think it's going to be. Heat in the brakes are now affecting the tires. I don't know that there's so much rubber on the track that as the car is going through a transition setup-wise, that's why you come in, that's why the driver has to give you that great input right now.
Kevin Harvick has now dropped 1.2 seconds behind race leader Jeff Gordon, Matt.
Mike Harvick told me that he and so many other teams were thrown off base a little on Friday about how quickly this racetrack took rubber. He said that his team would start out on a much looser side of the fence. He said if he survives that, he should be good. That's exactly what Harvick reported. He said the car is just absolutely way too loose early on.
Thanks. Scott Riggs has taken his car to the garage along with Reed Sorensen. They'll be the first retirees from this 500-lap race.
Guys, it's about this point in the truck race yesterday on speed where we started to see maybe some right front tire problems. Darrell, you well know that after you run 30 laps or so, the brakes get hot and you can lose a bead on one of the tires, melt through the tire and actually blow it out. So be interesting to see if your setup isn't exactly right. We might see some tire problems if there's not a caution soon.
And you're exactly right. It's setup. And you just heard Harvick say his car was really loose. You have to use a lot more brake when the car is not driving like you want it to. That's what gets you in trouble.
You know something else, Darrell? We talk about brake problems, but think about the alternators on these cars. Man, we've got fans going everywhere. We got them going to the brake calipers, to the rotors, to the tire themselves to cool that bead. That alternator's asked to do a lot today, so that could be another problem area on these cars.
Michael, we saw a lot of alternator failures in that truck race yesterday. They don't have near the demands that these Sprint Cup Series drivers have in a much shorter race.
Man, I got a lot to worry about, y'all.
Just take care of your beads. You'll be okay.
37 complete. Here are your Toyota top performers. You're riding with Clint Boyer in third. Denny Hamlin started third, now seventh. Kyle Busch started eighth, running ninth, and Martin Truex is in 10th.
When he's talking about beads, the first thought came to my mind was the ball game last night. They're down in New Orleans, and they were sitting there after the game and had the beads on and everything.
Well, that's all right. When he started talking about fans, I was looking at the crowd.
Well, if you look at the crowd right now, they're probably cheering hard because Dale Earnhardt Jr. just drove by Denny Hamlin. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 started 14th. He has now moved into 7th.
Kevin Harvick led the first 21. Jeff Gordon has led the last 17 as Jeff Hammond looks on from above.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Dodge. Visit your local Dodge dealer today. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
46 laps complete. Jeff Gordon continues to run this track at under 21 seconds. Not the quickest car on the racetrack, but he's a 10th faster than second place Kevin Harvick, who's dropped 2.6 seconds back of the leader, Keslowski, Boyer, and pole sitter Casey Kane the top 5. We've been green all the way so far. Gordon has now led 26 laps. And Jeff Hammond, from your perch up on the roof, what's caught your eye in these first 50 laps?
You guys have been all over it. It's the drive off the corner that 24 has. He's able to roll into the center, let the car roll through. But when he hits the throttle, his car is squatting and driving up off the corner better than anybody else. And from up here in our vantage point, you can really see the groove getting darker and darker each and every lap. So this racetrack should go through a series of changes, and who can stay ahead of it will wind up on a big lane. I can promise you that.
You know, Jeff, when I see you over there watching this race, it reminds me of our old buddy Junior Johnson. And I want to send out our thoughts and prayers to Junior. And Junior, get well and get back to the track, buddy. We miss you.
Yeah, Junior is in hospital, but we've learned it is not a life-threatening condition. He expects to be released in the early or middle part of this week to a rehab facility, and hopefully that's all good news.
It is. And now focus on another Junior here. And this Dale Jr. is on the move, guys. This car looks a lot like Jeff Gordon's. Very similar as far as setup goes.
He's been wearing out the back of Ryan Newman's number 39. And our points leader, Greg Biffle, he and Matt Kenseth just have had a hard time figuring this place out. Kenseth 18th, Biffle 21st, Carl Edwards 25th. The Roush-Keteers nowhere near the front of this group right now.
Yeah, Greg Biffle is only about a straightaway from going a lap down to our leader, Jeff Gordon, in the 24 car. Talked to Carl Edwards last night, Greg Biffle's teammate, as we got a battle for second place between Harvick and the 29, Keslowski and the 2. And Carl Edwards said, we are scratching our heads so bad over this place. He said, if just one of us had a good run going, then we'd have a measuring stick, but all of us are struggling here.
Turn 3, Keslowski makes the dive bomb pass on Kevin Harvick, but there's a lap car, Darrell, right in front of him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay, though. I think Harvick will probably give him the spot. Keslowski's down on the bottom, got the preferred line, getting into one. Harv yields a little bit and lets him go. But back to the Roush boys. I mean, Carl Edwards and those guys knew coming here that they had problems and they weren't going to be very good, and they still couldn't figure out what to do.
Well, then let me ask you both. We cannot test at any of the current Sprint Cup tracks. Where do you go to test for Martinsville? What is anywhere like this racetrack?
Well, I know watching Brad Keselowski in that 2, he and his race team, they have wore out that little half-mile track up at Rockingham on the outside. I think that's the closest thing to it of a racetrack you could duplicate Martinsville.
Yeah, we went to Caraway. We thought Caraway might have some similarities. We went to Greenville. Thought Greenville had some similarities. I've never been to Little Rock, but guys tell me that that's a track that has a lot of the characteristics of this one. But truly, you got to come here. I mean, you got to come here and get the right shock package, spring package to get this thing to turn and drive up off the corner.
Harvick and Boyer worked their way past David Stremme in the 30. Now Casey Kane. Stremme one lap down. Meanwhile, on the right of your screen, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Marcus Ambrose. Dick?
Well, Johnson qualified poorly, Mike. He started in the middle of the field today, but this morning he told me not to worry, that the car is rock solid. It is very fast. So far, so good. Johnson has already passed 10 cars today.
And just to follow up about where to test, and that's what I believe, a lot of guys go to Nashville to the super speedway there and test. It's 1.25 miles, concrete. But there's a little track right downtown there that they ought to be going to and using, and that's the Fairgrounds Speedway right there in the middle of town. That would be a good test facility as we get a battle right here between Harvick and Kane.
4th place, 2 Chevrolets fight it out, and Kane is making the kind of pass. Oh, one car way up out of the groove. Kurt Busch in turn 4.
I believe he's got a right front tire there. This is exactly what Michael Waltrip was talking about. Looks like possibly he's cooked the bead on that right front tire.
Now, can he get to pit road? Doubt it. He's gone way up the top of the racetrack.
No caution.
Needs a break in traffic to make pit road. He'll get it in the back straightaway here.
Yeah, he's going to get it right there. Yep. He'll be able to make it.
He was going to get it all right if he got down in front of those guys that were coming a lot faster than he was.
Kurt Busch was 32nd, 1 lap down. We do not have a yellow flag, so we stay green at 60 laps.
And being that, being 32nd a lap down already tells you the car was probably off in handle, and that's what gets those beads. You just use way too much brake.
Darrell, just a second ago, we saw Casey Kane in the 5 go by Kevin Harvick in the 29. We're about halfway through this fuel run. It just looks like that. I can watch Kevin Harvick in the 29 now. His car's not rolling the middle. A lot of hesitation in the middle.
So let's see if we can see what happened here to the 51 car. We're a long way back, but there you see the 51 car, Kurt Busch. Goes up the hill. I don't know if he contacted the wall or not. Made contact with the wall or not. I don't think he did. Just cut the tire blew out.
And he's still sitting on pit road. He's just now leaving his pit box. He's going to be about 4 laps down when this is all said and done.
Yeah, with the car laying down on the right front like that, you can't get the jack under it. It takes everybody to pick up on the car and get that jack under there before you can change the tire.
Jeff Burton's on the way forward. He qualified the BB&T Chevy 18th. Said they've worked on it, made some big decisions this morning, and he said once you set that car up, you've kind of got what you've got. But he was pretty confident he could drive that car up into the top 10. And he has here in the first 65 laps.
He's not a dark horse for sure. You know, he's won races, but he was sort of my dark horse pick. But let's watch the foot cam. Now, you see how the driver uses his left foot? He pats that brake. He'll do that every straightaway. That's just assurance that that brake pedal is there for you when you get down in the corner. And then watch how slowly and gingerly he pushes that gas pedal down, like it's got an egg under it. Easy. You don't want to get on it too hard, too fast, and then get it wide open just instantly and then off of it.
And Darrell, it's just past halfway down the straightaway that he's actually starting to roll out of that throttle.
You have to, Larry. It saves the brakes. It helps you get into the corner. It's just the way you drive this place once you get into race conditions. Now, if he was trying to pass somebody, he might drive on down in there a little deeper.
Denny Hamlin trying to come back toward the front. He's in 6th place, 6.1 off the lead. He gets under Kevin Harvick mid-corner and gets his attention down at the other end of the speedway. Matt?
Kevin Harvick's problems, Mike, have grown. Now the car is loose on entry, extremely tight in the center, and no drive off. He just told Shane Wilson, whatever you can think of to do for drive off, we've got to do it on the first stop so we don't get behind.
Well, it's such a challenge when you get here's Jeff Gordon now trying to put a lap on Montoya in the 42.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon just said, we may have a flat tire. Alan Gustafson told him, just take it easy for a while. Listening to Jeff Gordon right now, he said, I might have lost the tread or something like that. Gustafson saying, we're ready for you. If you need to, come to us.
I don't know why. It just happens. But when a driver sees other drivers have tire problems, instantly you start to feel a problem with your tires. It just psychologically, you can't help it.
You can see Jeff Gordon's crew up on the wall waiting if he has to hit pit road.
Darrell, if you get some of those marbles, some of that rubber debris on your tires, will it feel like a flat?
It will, Mike. We saw that in the pre-race show.
Debris on the backstretch. Stay tuned.
Looking for a caution here for debris on the back. But remember when we saw Greg Biffle in our pre-race show shaking his car around and all the rubber flying off the tires? That's what this is. Could have gotten out of the groove a little bit, picked up some debris.
Now we've been 71 laps with green. No caution yet. You heard one of the spotters looking at the back straightaway, but
yeah, it's a brake duct.
Yeah,
it's come unraveled.
Yep.
Yeah, because they not only have brake ducts going to the front wheels and brakes, they have them going to the rear as well.
It's gone. And we stay green. Ambrose in 13th right now behind Martin Truex. Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski battle 72 laps in at Martinsville. In the goodies, Pain Relief 500.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
Let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. On lap 9, Jeff Gordon had the fastest lap of this race. His teammate Jimmy Johnson is the biggest mover toward the front, now in 9th position. Get unlimited access to the Sprint Cup Series with live in-car audio and real-time stats on the only national carrier with truly unlimited data. Learn more at sprint.com/speed.
I know exactly what they told Jeff Gordon after he said he might have something wrong with his tires. Focus and get back in your rhythm. because now he's picked the pace back up and actually gapped the 2 car of Keslowski just a little bit.
Casey Kane laid the bumper on Clint Boyer coming off turn 2 last time around. They are fighting for 3rd place.
Yeah, there's some good cars right there in that group. The 24 leading, 2 Keslowski, and the 15 of Boyer.
Who pulls over for Kane.
Yeah, well, he was tired of getting his back bumper beat on.
Right.
You know, Darrell, in the pre-race, you were talking about Casey Kane in that 5 car adjusting to racing for a big operation like Hendrick Motorsports. He also said this week, I waited a year and a half for this opportunity, and the eye-opener for me was when I hit the wall on lap 20 at Phoenix that I need to just settle down a little bit.
Hey, you know, Larry, it's funny you say that, but I've been in a situation when I drove the 11 car for Junior Johnson, I had him right where I wanted him. I knew I did. I had the best car, I had the best owner, the best team. You just have to let that all work for you. You can't do it by yourself.
Riding with Kevin Harvick, who has fallen to 8th from the outside pole. Here he battles Newman and Jr. a few laps ago. Ooh.
Whoa. That right there is that's what you face here just about all day long. Junior could have said, I'm going to force my way down in there, and he would have probably come out all right, but he'd have put those other 2 guys in harm's way.
Well, Dale Jr., Steve, has come from 14th to 7th.
And Mike, his only comment recently has been the right rear tire is doing too much of the work, saying it's rolling over on that right rear.
A question of balance.
Let her eat. That's all I'd tell him. Just let her. Don't worry about that. We'll get you another one when that one goes away.
But when you see 2 drivers running that close like we just saw, I can't help but think back to Bristol, the other short track a couple of weeks ago when Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his teammate Jeff Gordon were racing that close, and it cut that left rear tire down of Jeff Gordon. You run a huge risk of that happening when that's going on.
Dale Jr. at work behind Ryan Newman, and the lap cars in front of them were double file. And now J.J. Yaley has dropped in behind the 33 of Hermie Sadler to give the lead lap cars some racing room.
Drivers in these cars today look so comfortable. I mean, the seats, the way they're made, and the way you sit in the car now and everything, you look comfortable, and you got to be. But that doesn't mean you're not working hard. See, back in the day, Mike, we had to hold ourselves in the seat with our arms, our legs, and everything else. Now they're locked in these seats, and all they got to do is steer that thing. Makes it a little easier for them, but they can do a lot better job, too.
Brad Keselowski inching in on Jeff Gordon's lead. It's down to 9/10 of a second. Here's a look at our Dodge Chargers of the race. Keselowski second, his teammate A.J. Allmendinger 21st. Clint Boyer running in 5th right now, working a little bit of traffic.
5 cars diamond in 3 and 4, just a little more than you. That's what my damn spotter's got to be telling me. Pay attention here, Ty. Said 4, you've been having the fastest laps.
That was his spotter, Ty Norris, and that's something that obviously, Dick, that the spotter needs. That's feedback he needs to give his driver.
Yeah, the driver does need the feedback, but he also needs to have the chassis adjusted. They are looking forward to pit stops, Larry, because the car is loose in and loose off at this point.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear I got the fastest car on the track. I don't want to, I want to know position. Where are other guys at? And remember, the start-finish line is golden. That's your point of reference. Where's the leader compared to me? That's what you want to know.
I've been watching Marcus Ambrose in the 9 car. He was the fastest qualifying Ford driver, qualified 12th. He fell back almost about 20th, but over the last number of laps, he's been working his way back toward the front. He's back up to 12th where he started this race.
Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski remain about 1 second apart after 95 laps in Martinsville. Pit road is a busy place, working the first caution of the day. It came out for Kyle Busch, and all the lead lap cars have now made stops. Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Casey Kane, the first one's off pit road.
I see a lot of guys playing with those timing lines too, shooting forward and slowing down, shooting forward and slowing down.
Here's why we're under caution. Coming down the back straightaway, headed for turn 3, Kyle had a big problem. Now the tires appeared to be up. It did not look like he cut a tire, did he?
I heard him say he felt like it broke a rear track bar. That's what holds the rear end in the center of the car. If that thing broke, it'll let that rear end start flopping around. I think that's what shoots him up the hill like that. Yeah, you can see the back of the car. You can see the rear end housing wobbling around back and forth back there. I'm pretty sure that's what happened to it.
2 penalties on pit stops. Ryan Newman too fast entering. Jimmy Johnson too fast exiting. They will restart at the back.
Somebody said Jimmy had a whale of a pit stop. He did.
Kyle Busch was running 15th when he impacted the wall in the back straightaway. Well, the fun police are here for Ryan Newman and Jimmy Johnson. The free pass goes to Paul Menard. He's our Aaron's lucky dog on the first caution of the day. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's.
Going to have a restart here, Mike, and it's going to be interesting to see where Jeff Gordon goes. Yesterday, the outside line was the best line to be in, which seems contradictory to what you'd expect here. Let's see if he's definitely going to go on the inside for the restart.
Chad Knaus pleading his case, but speeding penalties have no subjectivity. The computer determines your time in each segment and applies penalties as needed.
Yeah, Mike, I was saying, I saw these guys playing with those timing lines. That Jeff Gordon really shot out of his pit, but slowed right down to 30 miles an hour.
Gordon, Hamlin, Kane, and Keslowski. Here we go.
A bit of trickery on that restart.
But Jeff Gordon maintains the lead. Boy, it's a packed house behind those two. Let's crank it up for you. Roughed up Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting into turn number 1 as Almirola moved up to 6th. Now outside Martin Truex, but that cost Jr. 3 spots.
Now see, he used to be his boss. Dale Jr. used to be Eric's boss, but not anymore.
And now Jr. stuck to the high side. Can he get back inside, or can he maintain pace with Tony Stewart from the top side?
But Eric Almirola in that 43 car, he had qualified 19th, but just as that caution came out, he had cracked the top 10. He drove up there.
I would be real nervous if I were he, because I think he's going to get a little visit here from a man in a green car.
There it was.
He just got it.
Payback. And just a little bit, and that kind of payback, Darrell, that's all's fair in love and war.
That's Martinsville.
Yep.
But look at all the drivers that took advantage of that. Tony Stewart in the 14, Matt Kenseth in the 17, even Logano in the 20. They've got Almirola in the 43 pinned on the outside.
You'll see here.
Here's how it started, Darrell.
Yeah, Eric gets down under him nice and clean here, but he gets a little loose and gets into Dale Jr. and knocks him up to track. And Dale Jr., I'm sure right now, is steaming. So he says, you do it to me, I do it to you. And that's fair. And that's what makes this place so much fun. You can do that and keep on going.
Just a little bump and run.
I'm not sure about these left side tires. I hope they're all right. They don't have any riding left on them.
So Earnhardt now 8th. Jeff Gordon is pulled away from Denny Hamlin by a second, and Almirola continues to fight there. You saw him with 29 of Harvick. There's the lead, first through fourth, single file.
And Mike, you might say, it's a little aggressive, wasn't it? No, that's racing.
Kyle Busch has brought out the race's only caution. Jeff Hammond is down there as they try to get the 18 back in the race.
Yeah, Mike, right now they thought they broke the track bar. They came in with 4 tires were all up. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. But the Middleton wall has bent the rear end housing. They're having to change the rear end housing as well as make repair to the front of the car. Heavy damage to the 18, but everybody down here right now is still scratching their head.
And that's a pretty major repair. I mean, there's a lot of things that are connected to that rear end housing. You've got the gear with the drive shaft. You've got the brake calipers. It's a pretty extensive process to change that housing.
Riding with Jeff Burton as the South Boston, Virginia driver sneaks a peek inside Brad Keslowski, who gives him plenty of room. And Burton, who started 18th, moves up to 6th.
Yeah, Burton's got a pretty good little ride right now. He's nice and solid. Made some good passes.
You know, everybody remembers Tony Stewart making a pass on the outside of Jimmy Johnson here to get a big win. But remember when Jeff Burton passed Rusty Wallace on the outside to get his one and only Martinsville win? Burton said sometimes your car is just that good. You've got to go where it wants to go. And hey, I'm faster than him. I can get around him. And he did.
I don't necessarily remember that. I'm pretty sure Rusty does, though.
Carl Edwards at the 99 trying to hold off Allmendinger.
And you play you see how you play a little defense. You see how Allmendinger in the 22, he blocked just a little bit because McMurray had a nice run on him.
Well, McMurray in the 1 and Regan Smith in the 78. Right now, they are fighting to be the first driver a lap down. Should we get the caution, they would get that free pass back on the lead lap.
Yeah, right now we have 22 cars on the lead lap after 117 laps.
Denny Hamlin sitting 3rd, Matt.
Exactly where he started, Mike. And his biggest complaint, needing help on exit of the corner. Darian Grubb said we made a significant air pressure change. Let me know a little earlier into the run how the car reacts to make sure we're definitely going in the right direction.
Well, we talked about it earlier in the show, DW. You're almost making a U-turn at each end of this racetrack and trying to hook up 850 horsepower to the rear wheels.
You got to hook it. You got to go down there and hook it and go back the other way. But Jeff Gordon said something in a practice show the other day about how a driver gets a place like this figured out. It never changes. This track is probably the most consistent track we go to year after year after year with the concrete turns.
Steve Dale Jr. just powered past Keselowski.
Mike, prior to the pit stop, Dale Jr. told Steve Letarte the car's a little free in and a little free off, so they made an air pressure adjustment. Relatively speaking, Mike, they had a bit of a slow stop, but it was Dale Jr. being the cheerleader telling his guys, hey, don't try to be heroes, guys. Let's just be nice and smooth and consistent on pit road.
Yeah, if you lose 1 or 2 spots on pit road here, it could take 20 or 30 laps to get them back out on the racetrack.
And to my point, Jeff Gordon has this place figured out. Now the Roush boys, on the other hand, they're still scratching their head.
Jeff Gordon dominating at Martinsville. Now there's a familiar sight.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By Coca-Cola, it's time to refuel. Coca-Cola, open happiness. And by Ortho, Weed Be Gone Max Lawn Weed Killer. Defend what's yours.
131 laps complete. Jeff Gordon has led 109 of them. Denny Hamlin in 2nd. Clint Boyer has now moved into 3rd ahead of Casey Kane. And Jeff Burton now up into the top 5 along with Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to close in on 3rd place Boyer. So as things start to get a little close up front, let's go to the University of Farmers and Jeff Hammond.
Michael Walter was talking about how you can melt a bead. This is what a normal bead looks like on a tire mounted into the rim. Let me show you what happened to Kurt Busch's tire. This is what happens when you have over 1,100 degrees of rotor temperature and everything gets so hot in here, the tire literally melts down. It comes apart, loses its air. And for the 51 car, Kyle Busch, he also found the outside wall.
And Jeff, I know you know this, and Larry too, they pack so much brake inside that wheel. I mean, there's that clearance between the brake rotor and the wheel is hardly any. And they're trying to put all these huge brakes, these $40,000 worth of brakes, inside a pretty small wheel.
A steel wheel, and that heat just transfers right to the weak link, which is the bead of the tire that Jeff just showed us.
It's racing. You make one thing bigger and better, you'll find another weak link somewhere else, and here it's the bead of the tire.
Ryan Newman trying to hold off Jamie McMurray. Regan Smith in the 78's gotten by. And the 10 of David Ruderman has spent 27 laps in the garage. Now still in the garage, Kyle Busch. And out of the race, Joe Nemechek, Michael McDowell, Josh Wise, Scott Riggs, and Reed Sorensen. Eric Almirola and crew talking about tires for the 43.
Gave up a little bit of time at the front side of that run just to make sure I was really good to my tires. I never buzzed my tires probably the first 30 laps of that run. I was just trying to be real patient with the rear tires so I would have them later. Smart race car driver, nice job.
Well, and it showed up in that first 100-lap run because he didn't show up until the last half of that run.
I like that thinking, but you got to be careful with that kind of thinking. You don't want to lose too much time to the leaders. You can end up finding yourself looking at the front bumper of the leader in your rearview mirror.
Jimmy Johnson trying to overcome the pit road penalty, Dick. He's in 17th.
Yeah, he restarted in the 21st position, Mike. And important to know is that nobody has won one of these NASCAR Sprint Cup races since 2007 after getting a speeding penalty. They are particularly onerous at this place because it is so difficult to pass. But Johnson has been telling his crew how well the car is handling, how well it is running, and he is a master at this place.
Thanks, Dick. Here's the battle unfolding right behind him. Carl Edwards and Joey Logano with A.J. Allmendinger. This is back at 18th position.
We've been talking about the Roush Fenway drivers, which would include Carl Edwards in the 99. He has now cracked the top 20, but his teammate Matt Kenseth in the 17 has actually cracked the top 10 now.
And when I look at Carl's car, it looks like it's laying down on the right rear, like it's got a pretty soft spring back there because the left front of the car seems to be a little higher. It's not coming up equally in the front.
Matt, how about the 22 and Allmendinger?
Two issues he's been fighting today, Mike. First, the car just absolutely too tight. They made an air pressure change the last stop. He says he just can't get the car to finish off the corner. His other problem, he's been battling flu-like symptoms. He spent the morning in the infield care center in DW. Is it easier or tougher to a place like Martinsville to try to deal with a symptom like that when you're inside the race car?
No, this is the worst place you can be. It's very physical. As you saw in the car there a little bit ago, you fight the wheel a lot. You're in traffic like this all the time. You're working the brake. It's really a lot like hustling around a road course.
This is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's now climbed from 6th to 4th in the last couple of laps. He's 3.2 seconds off the lead. How close will he be when we come back?
We welcome you back live at Martinsville Speedway, a place famous for hot dogs and a guy infamous for being a hot dog. Jeff Hammond just blew his entire per diem right there. With Michael Waltrip and Chris Myers, time for an AT&T race break. And Jeff Gordon, your leader, 152 laps in, going 500 laps around this half-mile speedway. Jeff Gordon has led the most laps at Martinsville in 5 different races. He, of course, won 2 of those, has won here 7 all time. But let's talk a little bit about the way he's handled things so far, leading the most laps.
Well, people talk about how this track changes. Jeff hasn't noticed any change. He's been at the front of the pack since we started this baby, and all through practice yesterday he was fast. So the track rubbering up isn't affecting Jeff Gordon.
In the last 12 races at Martinsville, he has been unable to get to victory lane, and it's been nearly 4 years for Dale Earnhardt Jr. But in that time, he's had 2 second-place finishes in between his last win here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and look how fast he is. He's driven that car straight to the front. He's all over Boyer there for the third spot. Junior's running a great race. Again, Chris, people have to keep up with the change in the track. Used to, we'd get 12 or 13 cautions here. Doesn't look like we're going to get those today.
And Hendrick Motorsports teammate Casey Kane, now his second pole, but listen to this, 2 poles this year. He's yet to lead a lap this season, enjoying that full-time ride with Hendrick.
Solidly in the top 5 after setting on the pole for the first third of this race. I think you'd take that.
All right, and Daytona 500 winner Matt Kenseth, as we check out the Roush Fords. Now, he moves into the top 10, but what about the other guys? They started 26th, 28th. We're talking about Greg Biffle and Kyle Edwards. They've slowly moved themselves up 9-10 spots.
But they've been stuck around 16th to 20th, Carl and Greg both. Think about Vickers. He fell all the way back to 26 at the start of the race. Now he's up in the top 15. Jimmy Johnson went to the back for that speeding penalty. He's up ahead of those cars, so they're not fast. That's the problem with them.
And speaking of Jimmy Johnson, we heard Chad Knaus, crew chief on the radio, said, I don't see how any blank way that's possible that we could have been speeding.
Isn't that like Chad to argue with the computer?
And you're not going to win that argument. And this is your AT&T Race Break. Let's see how the drivers are doing at the AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. You can text FAST at 34763 or go to AT&TFastestDriver.com for a chance to win 4 Gs. AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge, brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network. Jeff Gordon dominating so far. We got a long way to go. Just ahead of Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. here in Martinsville. NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Only 1 caution so far in Martinsville. Jeff Gordon's now led 144 of 166 laps. The caution was for Kyle Busch, whose car is still being worked on in the garage. We used to have a saying here at Martinsville about the chrome horn. Back when the bumpers on these cars were chromed, well, these cars don't have horns, so you'd use your bumper as your horn. Beep, beep. Hello, wake up, coming through.
And again, the 11's up the hill just a little bit, and that 15 is getting a great run off the corner. I've been watching him. He's not real fast getting in, but he really gets off good.
12th place battle, Eric Almirola. Driving that number 43. It's been to victory lane 15 times at Martinsville with Richard Petty aboard. And he passes Kevin Harvick, Matt.
Major adjustments, Mike, on that last stop. 3 rounds down on the track bar and 3 rounds of wedge. Big air pressure change. Harvick said it really made a big adjustment with the race car. Much better. It was finally a little tighter off turns 2 and 4. But after 56 laps of this run, he said, we're done again. No rear grip.
Yeah, right now it looks like Kevin Harvick, Matt, has about a 50-lap race car. And after that, because we're about 60 to 70 laps into this run, and this is about the time it went away on him in the first run.
So Harvick, defending champ of this race, struggling in 13th, 12 seconds off the lead. This battle remains a good one. 3rd place, Clint Boyer, Dale Jr. Now they're about 3 seconds behind Jeff Gordon, the leader.
And watch these 2 cars. Junior runs right up on Boyer's bumper. Watch going into 1 down here. He runs right up on Boyer getting in, almost to his bumper. But watch Boyer. Then Boyer gets that thing turned. He opens that gap up a little bit. Junior stayed with him a little better that time.
And gets a little clearance on the inside.
I think Boyer saw him coming, but Boyer's been gapping him up off the corner pretty good until that run.
But Darrell, that's all Dale Earnhardt Jr. was trying to do, is get to that left rear quarter panel before we get to the next end of the racetrack, and I'll take that spot.
I just wonder if that little bump had anything to do with that.
May have.
Dale Jr. now 3rd. Boyer 4th. Casey Kane 5th.
Smart guys will take, that little bump. They know what that means. That's a warning sign.
Where's our series champion? Tony Stewart's been awful quiet today. He's running in 9th place. And Krista just kind of running his own race.
Well, Mike, when you won this race in the fall, won 2 this year, no reason to be worried, right? Wrong. Steve Addington said they were worried after qualifying. They didn't have the feel they wanted in the race car. He's been going back and forth on needing more from the front end of his race car. Right now, he needs more from the back end. But he told his guys on the pace laps to start this race. We did it here last year. We can do it again. Expect them to be around at the end.
I found it interesting when you look at Tony Stewart, his 14th year in Sprint Cup, 46 wins and 3 championships, but he's won 7 of the last 15 races. He said here on Friday, I feel like I'm running consistently the best I ever have since I've been in NASCAR.
confidence.
He
Confidence,
has that.
commitment, and a good race car. Now he lets Matt Kenseth go to the inside. Plenty of time to race him later if that 17's a little quicker right now.
Yeah, I got pretty cocky as a driver too when my car was good. You just that creates all the confidence for you and your team. They get that car right, and then that driver can do his job. It brings you alive, man.
Carl Edwards said no mas. A.J. Allmendinger tattooed him on the bumper in turn 3. They ran a lap with the dinger trying to get past him, and finally Carl moved aside, and Allmendinger picks up the spot. That would be 18th. And they're fighting hard to stay on the lead lap. Here is the number 18 of Kyle Busch. Spent 79 laps in the garage after going straight off into the turn 3 wall with what initially looked like a flat right front tire, but wasn't.
If this goes like normal, the next thing you'll hear is 18 too fast exiting.
But with him going back out on the racetrack here at 178 laps, we have 38 drivers still out there on the track.
Let's watch it. Let's make a lap around this joint. We're in the car with Clint Boyer. He's making a pass here on Kurt Busch. You get down in the corner here, right on that yellow line, right next to that curve down the back straightaway. Listen how soon you back off the gas. Back off about halfway down the back straightaway so you can roll in here and get the car down on the bottom of the track, back in the throttle wide open. That's what you want. And then right at the start line, right when you pass the start-finish line, roll out of the throttle again.
Now, Darrell, he burped the throttle coming off turn 4 at about 4,800 RPM, got out of the gas, and then got back in it.
Yeah, sometimes you'll feel those back tires break loose a little bit. That's not good. You don't want that. But you can see, just get a little bit of wheel here. He goes down the front, steers her off in there, gets a nice handful of wheel. Back in the gas, nice and easy. Up on the straightaway, and let her coast down in the corner.
Let's compare him to the car that is just 0.6 of a second ahead of him, Casey Kane.
Well, we're going to look down in here at the foot cam, and you can see that Casey's using a lot of brake, and you have to really be careful with that left foot brake because you'll have pressure on the brake pedal and not realize it. And the reason you pump it, as we said a little bit ago, is just for security. You want to know that pedal is there for you.
Just a little bit of confidence brake right there.
And every driver you watch, we had 43 foot cams. Every driver would do that.
But Darrell, we talked about it in practice on Friday that a lot of the success here is how you work that middle pedal, that brake pedal.
Yeah, and one thing that you have to be careful of, and we used to do this, Jeff Hammond could tell you, I used to put a great big door spring on my brake pedal. So when I had my foot laying on the pedal like Casey does, I wasn't applying any pressure. I'd keep that big spring on there so I wouldn't be putting pressure on the brakes because that would create heat.
Talking about Jeff Burton in that 31 car, we saw his foot cam earlier. Yeah, he pumped that pedal, Darrell, but he takes his foot completely off of it. At least he was earlier.
Yeah, there you go. See how you release. And when you leave this joint, you'll leave here with a little bit of a limp. Your left leg and foot will be numb.
That little T-bar at the top of the accelerator pedal is kind of a throwback to the days of when you might have a stuck throttle. You could lift your foot on that T-bar and pull the pedal back, and hopefully that would help.
But watch how quickly, I mean, as soon as he pops it, as soon as that right foot comes off the gas pedal, watch how quickly it snaps that brake. Pop, pop. I mean, just as quick as you can get off the gas and on the brake.
Burton in the high groove as Brad Keslowski comes through. 6th place for Brad. Steve?
And Mike, Jeff Burton is saying his car is good on the long run, but he needs forward bite and he needs help turning right in the center.
And you almost have to work on the first thing first. Get that thing to turn the middle, but if you're not careful, you'll even make it looser off the corner under acceleration.
Jeff said the biggest day in his young racing life was when Clay Earls announced that big late model stock car race here at Martinsville. He used to come here with his family and sit down in the bleachers in turn number 1 and watch the Cup cars run, and to think that he would have a chance to race at Martinsville. That was big.
Yeah, then he actually won here in 1997, one of the 4 wins that Roush Fenway has here at Martinsville.
Back in the day, and even today, I think to some degree, there were a couple of races that you really wanted to win as a driver. One was Daytona. The other was Martinsville. Daytona is the king of super speedways, and Martinsville was the king of short tracks.
Jeff Gordon is running like a train. 21-second laps, lap after lap. He's led 168 of them as the rails roll on behind the backstretch here.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Ford, proud sponsor of NASCAR. By KFC, come in today and taste why fresh is better. And by DirecTV, if you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
Almost 200 laps complete at Martinsville, only one caution, and Jeff Gordon has just put last year's winner, Kevin Harvick, 1 lap down. About to go to work on Kyle Edwards and Ryan Newman as he gets into some heavy traffic here. Here's today's Ford F-150 EcoBoost track facts for Martinsville. 26 times Ford has been to victory lane here. Last time was 2002. And in NASCAR's inaugural season, 1949, this was one of 8 tracks that the now Sprint Cup Series competed in. Kurt Busch had that last Ford victory driving for Jack Roush in 2002.
And Mike, as I look at the lap times, this is incredible. Gordon's running 21:03. They're all in the 21:0s all the way down to Kenseth. Actually back to Stewart. 21:0s. Everybody running the same speed.
Darrell, what I'm going to be anxious to see as we see Denny Hamlin here in the 11 car. He's about 1.5 seconds behind Jeff Gordon. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr., another second behind Denny Hamlin. But Dick Bergman was telling me on that first run, there was 100 laps. We've talked about these drivers spinning the rear tires, that the left rear tires will wore out after 100 laps. We're about 20 to 30 laps away from what will be green flag pit stops.
Brian Vickers way up the racetrack in turn 4.
Yeah, I think Vickers may have a tire down, or else I know he got pushed.
And how about Rudeman here? What was happening with the number 10 as he slowed? He's had multiple problems. Oh, on fire there at the right rear.
Yeah, I'd say it's a brake fire. It probably blew out a seal, blew out a brake seal, and it's got the fluid on fire. But what happened to Vickers was he got a little bump. He got up in that real loose debris and got it all over his tires. That's what happened to him.
It had not been that long since Rudeman was in the garage area and just came back out on the track a number of laps ago.
So no caution, but Vickers falls from the lead lap. He's 1 lap down now, along with Kyle Edwards and Kevin Harvick. Well, Jeff Hammond has more on brake heat versus Martinsville. Oh, Kurt Busch there. And did he get the wall that time?
He's got another right front tire down. Remember, Kurt Busch in that first run had the same thing, and he did it again about in the same number of laps.
And that probably tells you, Larry, they just don't have adequate cooling to that right front brake system.
Slides way up there and just misses it.
Nah, never touched it.
Back to pit road and back to Jeff Hammond on brake heat.
Well, guys, we're down here at the Ford Racing Tech car to talk about brakes. We can show you pretty quickly how important brakes are. When it comes to a place like Martinsville, you have to have huge brakes. You can see real quick, these brakes are massive, folks. I mean, they are huge. You've got to be able to get these race cars stopped. You've also got to keep them cooled. That's one of the reasons why the teams are running 3 cooling ducts. You can see them right here. All of the fact you've got to be able to keep them down to where the manageable temperature so they don't boil the fluid, because what's going to happen, you're going to get into rotor temperatures that are overheated. All of a sudden you're looking through here 1100 degrees, and that means trouble.
Means the trouble that Kurt Busch has got right there, Jeff, as he's cooked his second beat, it appears, of the race here just a little past 200 laps.
Jeff Gordon picking him up, putting him down. Ryan Newman is the 17th place car, and he's in danger of going a lap down at 208 laps.
What makes Gordon so good here, Mike, is he is putting down the same lap speed every lap it runs. 21:0s every lap.
Steve?
And Mike, not only that is he running consistently, he's also saying that the car is turning better now than it was early in the race.
Now Newman's picked it up. He's running 2080s, so getting past Newman is not going to be perhaps as easy as Jeff Gordon would like.
Yeah, but Gordon can keep doing his 21:0s, and Newman can only do that 80 every now and then.
219 laps complete. Jeff Gordon still your leader. New second place driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. 1.7 seconds back of his Hendrick Chevrolet teammate Jeff Gordon, with Hamlin, Kane, and Bowyer 3 Chevys, 2 Toyotas in the top 5.
If there were 2 cars that looked identical getting around this racetrack, it'd be the 24 and the 88. They have the same attitude. They roll the corner the same way. They look very, very similar as far as setup goes.
While we were away, Ryan Newman did go a lap down to Jeff Gordon. Remember, Newman was 6th before he had that speeding penalty, and it proved costly for the 39. He's now 1 lap down, but in 16th place. Bobby Labonte begins this cycle of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, this is about the time we're going to start to see all of the drivers hit pit road. But Darrell, this is one of those racetracks where you don't want to come until you absolutely have to.
Now you're riding with Jeff Burton, who has dropped back quite a bit. He is 15th, just went a lap down to Jeff Gordon, and they were looking to see if Burton's car might be trailing some smoke. 3rd place battle here. Casey Kane takes it from Denny Hamlin.
Larry, you smell anything?
I do smell a little bit of rear end grease.
Yeah, I mean, a gear burning up here. I mean, you could always tell you'd be in the pits and you'd say somebody, or you might even be in your car and say somebody's burning up a gear, and they'd say, we know it's you.
Our points leader, Greg Biffle, in that 16 that Jeff Gordon's trying to put a lap down right now. Greg Biffle is in the 14th position.
Well, Gordon running the way he is right now, Larry, he's just marching through this field, and he's lapping a lot of really good race cars.
Rick Hendrick Chevrolets run 1, 2, 3. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Casey Kane. Jimmy Johnson back in 10th. Hendrick's first Cup victory came here April 1984. Jeff Bodine got it for then All-Star Racing. That happened when Casey Kane was but 4 years old, a generation ago, as Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex hit pit road.
We're going to know whose gear that is very shortly. The smell is starting to get worse.
Yeah, you pull such a low gear here that generates so much heat.
Matt?
Still confident they can turn this around. Big changes again on the chassis for the 29 of Harvick. Like Larry Mack said, it's about a 50-lap race car at this point. Car doesn't turn any better. It's absolutely slotting all over the back.
Brian Vickers, Paul Menard, Jeff Burton on pit road. And here's Steve.
And Jeff Burton just described his car very good on the long run. He said it's a little bit free early into the run. Try and help me there.
David Stremme and David Rudeman stopping in this cycle as Paul Menard's crew finishes up on his Chevrolet.
When you make a green flag pit stop here, even if you're near the front, you're going to go about 2+ laps down when they're racing under green.
Listen, if you hear a big loud cheer all at once, I think I can tell you why, and I think you'll see it on the screen. When this 88 car drives underneath Jeff Gordon to take the lead down the back straightaway, the place just light. Listen.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the first driver that's been able to drive by that 24 of Jeff Gordon.
Great job, but that's 1 point. We're about 4 or 5 away from.
He gets 1 championship point for leading 1 or more laps in this race. Allmendinger and Logano to the pits as Dale Earnhardt Jr. becomes the 4th different driver to lead today. Casey Kane is going to surrender 3rd place to come to pit road. At lap 229, we're just about 20 laps short of halfway.
He only gets 1 point for leading right now, but he got a lot of attaboy points when he took the lead.
Finished 2nd here last year and was in contention to win it. Krista.
Casey Kane thought his biggest issue was being loose through the center, but as he came down pit road, he said, I may have broke. They may have a concern here with the 5 car. He's hearing the same voice on the radio from Chief Kenny Francis, but he has a new spotter this week, Shannon McLamory. Again, no word more from Casey, but he thinks he may have broke something.
McLamory, former spotter for Jeff Gordon, is on kind of a 2-week trial with Casey Kane as spotter, and now pit road's busy. The leaders in Earnhardt along with Newman and Biffle and Smith. Steve?
Mike, the big thing, crew chief Steve Letarte reminding Dale Jr. not to speed on pit road, and also reminding his guys, nice smooth stop, no mistakes on the stop. They had just taken the lead. Jeff Gordon also heading down pit road. Gordon saying his car is really good, still turning well in the middle, but just a little little bit loose off as he hits pit road. It's going to be 4 tires, no adjustments for Jeff Gordon. Again, just a little bit loose coming off the corners.
Denny Hamlin's the new leader, but now he enters the pit lane. That should hand things over to Clint Bowyer. Marcus Ambrose also making a stop. And here comes Jimmy Johnson in for service as well.
We saw what speeding on pit road did to Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman, so you really don't want to speed here, Steve.
Larry Mack, Marcus Ambrose saying the car is getting better as we go. 4 tires and fuel. Matt.
Opting for a bigger change on the 11 of Denny Hamlin this time. Heath Cherry, the tire carrier, wrench in the back window. Almost 2 rounds, grabs the tire. The race car just absolutely too tight. It's almost like a parking lot trying to get the car to turn in the center of the corner. Lugs on and he's finally away.
Tony Stewart is in, Carl Edwards and Kenny Schrader. Here comes Clint Bowyer, who has taken over the lead to pit road. Dick?
And Carl Edwards' left rear tire was so badly worn he thought it was actually coming apart, Mike. He has wanted to pit long before this. Meanwhile, Clint Bowyer has pitted out of the lead as well. He also had burned the left rear off about 40 laps ago and was unable to get off the corners. Krista.
Tony Stewart saying he's losing front end and losing forward right at the same time, telling crew chief Steve Addington, I need more, I need help. Steve?
And Matt Kentz is saying his car is just a little bit loose, getting in the corners and off, and just a little bit tight through the middle. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment, Krista.
Steve, Brad Keselowski saying his car is so loose and he had to hold on to it. He said, Paul, I can't be loose and fast. This early in the race, they helped him out with track bar.
So that leaves Eric Almirola, Jamie McMurray, and Juan Pablo Montoya, the only drivers who've not pitted. Now, when pit stops began, Dale Jr. had a 0.6 of a second lead over Jeff Gordon, who is now ahead of Earnhardt.
And I know how that happened. Jeff really made up a ton of time getting to his pit box. I don't know where the scoring line is, but he is sitting in a perfect spot. That's where he made up all that time. By the way, the 5 car, the HendrickCar.com Chevrolet here of Casey Kane has got an engine going away. Looks like I see smoke coming out the tailpipe.
Boy, if it wasn't for bad luck, Casey Kane would have none this season. We are under caution for the second time today. 5 laps short of halfway. Dave Blaney has had trouble down in turn number 2. First time by. Loses the car just a bit and it washes up toward the wall, but he gets up in that marbles, gets that loose stuff on his tires, and the next time around it goes.
And that's just how it feels when you get all that rubber buildup on your tires, the hot tires, it picks it right up and you just like 4 flats.
From Casey Mears' car, the Geico cam showed us that.
And I believe under this caution they'll probably take this opportunity to clean the track a little bit because it's getting real dirty up out of the groove.
Blaney goes to the garage and so does Casey Kane. They're under the hood on the number 5.
Guys, we've got about 11 or 12 drivers on the lead lap. Remember, we just cycled through that set of green flag pit stops. I think the guys at the front will stay out, but if you're at the back of the lead lap drivers, you might as well come in. More adjustments, more tires, and some fuel. In fact, here comes Denny Hamlin in the 11, the first one hitting pit road.
And you saw Casey Kane there just beating on the steering, not really beating on the steering wheel, a driver that's just absolutely as frustrated as you could possibly be. Just a terrible start to the year.
Well, Darrell, he finished 14th at Auto Club Speedway last week. That was his first uneventful race that he had all year.
Jimmy Johnson in, several lead lap cars making stops here. And let's go down to Chris Myers.
Time now for our AT&T mid-race report here in Martinsville, Virginia. We're glad you're with us for NASCAR on Fox. And Jeff Gordon, 205 laps led, the most in the race so far. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. out in front, leading for the 3rd race, trying to end a losing skid that's extended nearly 4 years. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch, an early problem in the wall. Carl Edwards is a lap down, who last year at this time was the points leader. Let's see who our guys are keeping a close eye on, and we'll start with our Darrell Waltrip.
You know what, Chris? Last year, I think Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr. really thought he let one get away from him when Kevin Harvick passed him the last few laps of this race. he has a car that's good enough to win this race today. Today, he ends that winless streak.
If he's going to do it, Darrell, he's going to have to beat his teammate, Jimmy Johnson. He's going to be fast at the end of this race. He had that speeding penalty, went to the back of the field. He's the only guy I've seen drive through the field. Watch Jimmy Johnson as this race winds down.
Well, Michael, if I'm going to beat Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, or the other Hendrick driver, Jeff Gordon, not getting many opportunities to adjust that race car, I'm going to have to swing for the fence with adjustments.
Tell you how good Dale Earnhardt Jr. is, to DW's point. Dale Earnhardt Jr. just told his crew chief, Steve Letarte, I'm taking it easy on that gas pedal. I'm getting off the gas pedal, about to start finish line, and just letting it roll right through the corners. He's good, Mike Joy.
Thanks, Steve. The Martinsville track has been a scene of great triumph for Rick Hendrick. Got his first Cup win here. He's had 18 wins here. The Martinsville area has also been a scene of great tragedy for the Hendrick family. I think Rick Hendrick gets his 200th win right here today. Chris?
And Mike, 18 wins, 18 Cup wins for Hendrick Motorsports on this Martinsville Speedway track. That's the most of any track. There's Steve Letarte, who moments ago on the radio told Dale Earnhardt Jr., hey, we've led some laps. You don't need to lead them all. Let's save the brakes, save your car, playing the role of a crew chief, but also a life coach, encouraging his driver, saying, hey, pace yourself. And that's something we need to watch. You heard DW and Steve talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's had 6 second-place finishes, 2 here in Martinsville. But how will he finish? How will he close out the race? That is our AT&T mid-race report as we check out those drivers, those top 4 qualifiers. AT&T, the nation's fastest 4G network.
Halfway. You know, it must be hot dog time.
Whoa!
It's just part of the ambience at Martinsville that those great hot dogs, those nuclear red-looking Jesse Jones Franks, and all the slaw and chili and onions, whatever they put on them, they're still $2. And the crew members actually keep count in their garage stalls of how many they've had throughout the weekend. Boy, they won't tell us how many they sell, but it's a lot. And yes, we certainly consume our share up here, and proud to do our part.
I don't know how many they sell, but they truck in a truckload of them every night. That's all I know. They got them working nights. You can see the sweeper there going to get that loose rubber and debris that's up out of the groove.
Husqvarna, world's largest producer of outdoor power products, shows you the top 5 on our fast tracker in the Sprint Cup standings. Matt?
Mike, this is the place that Greg Biffle really wanted to put a lot of effort to try to turn around. He's never led a lap here nor scored a top 5 finish on a short track here, but they've made some big progress. That brand new car, they've made small adjustments. He needs a little more help to get the car to rotate, but he sounds pretty pleased. You can tell by the tone of his voice on the radio.
Well, Matt, they need to run down there and find out what Kent's is doing, because that's been the best of the Roush cars. He's up in 4th spot right now, and that car looked actually pretty decent all through the race.
As we anticipated, just had cycled through green flag pit stops with A.J. Allmendinger getting back on the lead lap. 12 drivers are pretty much there. Half of them stayed out. The back half, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, the 48, hit pit road.
I'd like that luxury. I'd like that option right now to come in, make another little change, get a little bit more fuel, go a little further on the next long green. That might pay off.
We're going long next week. We're going out to the wide open spaces of Texas and another 1.5 mile super speedway in 2 weeks for NASCAR on Fox. Enjoy your Easter weekend. We'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Like I always say, you better put on your work clothes, because that's big boy racing in Texas.
That'll be our first Saturday night race.
Yeah.
NASCAR on Fox this year.
We're getting ready for this restart with only 12 cars on the lead lap at the moment. We know that will change with waiver rounds and free passes as we go forward, but does that change your strategy at all when you're racing so few cars on the lead lap?
Well, you know why there's not a lot of waiver rounds? Because none of the lead cars pitted, so that kept the guys trapped that were a lap down.
Right.
But it really doesn't bother you that much. You don't think about it. Only when you're trying to get by that guy and he holds you up. You say, you know, that cat's a lap down. Why won't he let me go?
Getting ready for our KFC Fresh start. KFC, come in today and taste why fresh is better. Teammates Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. play a little cat and mouse. Gordon's going to get away first. Oh, Jr. left the door open for Boyer, and here comes Clint.
Whoa, got a little sideways up off the concrete onto the asphalt. Back in, came around on the 15 a tad, but look at that 17 go on the outside.
Boy, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88, when he came off too, he made sure he went straight to the bottom of the racetrack down the backstretch.
Yeah, look at Kenseth. I mean, he dove to the bottom to block the 2 from getting under and going into 1.
Single file back to Jimmy Johnson, who has really worked hard to overcome that speeding penalty. He's side by side with Martin Truex for 8th place. Just can't find any room to get to the inside. Nobody's going to let him in either.
No, if you can just hang there for a little bit, something will open up. A buddy will show up like Tony Stewart and let you in politely at this point.
Behind Stewart, Bobby Labonte having a top 10 day. Battling Ryan Newman as Newman's trying to get back on the lead lap. And things unwind here at the paperclip. Biffle battling Labonte now.
A little caution. I like a caution about halfway. Gives me a chance to think about what I've got, what I need to do, catch my breath, and get ready to go strong to the finish.
Now, what Greg Biffle in that 16, our points leader coming in here, he's trying to get up there and catch Ryan Newman in the 39. Ryan Newman right now, the first driver 1 lap down.
Side by side, Martin Truex, Eric Almirola. They are digging hard for 7th place. Johnson looking in. No contact. And Truex squirts away.
I like the patience of Jimmy Johnson. Got that penalty. Got to the rear. Had to go to the rear of the field. Kept his pace. Kept pace with the leaders. Waited for his opportunity. And now he's ready to maybe move back up here and challenge for the lead as this thing unwinds.
And look how patient he was, waiting for the Almirola Truex battle to settle before Johnson went and just passed them both. Steve?
Mike, listening to Martin Truex Jr., he said the last change did not help. It was just a little bit too snug in the middle. Too snug in the middle, so they made an air pressure adjustment and changed wedge, Dick.
And consider this about Jimmy Johnson in that number 48 car. Chad Knaus called him in on that caution flag. He got 4 fresh tires. It cost him only 2 spots because there are so few cars on the lead lap. So smart move by the crew chief.
Thanks, Dick. New 2nd place driver is Clint Bowyer.
Yeah, a little slip by Dale Jr. coming up off the corner. Car got a little loose, and Bowyer was there and made the pass. See Bowyer here, looking. Maybe even made a little contact. Got Junior loose and was able to pass him.
It's not the first time they've had a little contact today.
Won't be the last.
Here's a different look at it from Bowyer's car.
Oh, trouble down the back. The 42 car just had a big moment down the back.
Something broke on the steering.
You heard?
When I hit the...
Kind of took Montoya's breath there. And there's contact with he and Kenny Schrader, it appears.
Somebody said something broke in his steering. Let's see.
The 32 is Schrader on the outside of Montoya.
Oh, yeah. That right there makes the steering break. But what happens is sometimes you get hit like that and you'll snatch the wheel real hard, and for an instant your power steering box will lock up.
And that caution is a break for Ryan Newman. First car 1 lap down. Newman will get the free pass and overcome his prior speeding penalty and be back on the lead lap. 3rd caution of the day, lap 264. Montoya was 24th. And no takers for pit road.
Well, I tell you what, they opened that pit road pretty late. The leaders were almost past him when he opened pit road.
All right, Almirola and Labonte among the lead lap cars. Will Pitt were under caution at Martinsville.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Let's take a look inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Jeff Gordon has led 236 laps, all but 32 so far. And the biggest mover is Matt Kenseth from 21st to 4th. Check out the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app on your Android-powered device, only on the Sprint network. Learn more at sprint.com/speed.
All right, boys, clean them up. 1 to go. Let's get ready. Pump them brakes. That's all the stuff Hammond used to tell me.
Casey Kane's car still in the garage, not yet out of the race, but losing laps as they work under the hood Jeff Gordon leading Clint Boyer, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Brad Keselowski, the top 5. Then Hamlin, Johnson, Truex, Stewart, and Allmendinger. Almirola, Labonte, and Ryan Newman gets back on the lead lap with the free pass. Pace car has left the field. Jeff Gordon brings them to the attention of the starter. Green flag.
Going to be a little battle here. Boyer working that outside. Drives it off into 3 pretty hard. He'd get alongside. He's been getting off the corner pretty sporty.
Great battle for the lead, but Boyer's been doing most of his passing by dive bombing to the inside. Didn't quite have the same speed as Gordon there. Earnhardt Jr. close in 3rd, side by side for 4th.
But see, Dale Jr. really respected Boyer right there and gave him an opportunity to race Jeff Gordon there and not put pressure on him.
But as we've seen for 272 laps with Jeff Gordon's car, it goes through the middle so quick, and he's able to put that power down to the racetrack.
3 wide back of the pack. How's that going to work?
I don't know. That looked like a spider.
Still like 3 wide. Edwards on the bottom.
Looked like a spider 3 wide banana to me.
Edwards and Ambrose just went 3 wide and wide with Gilliland, and Gilliland was like the hot dog getting shot back out of the bun. No problem. But wow, close quarters racing coming off these restarts as everybody fights for all they can get.
Yeah, the restarts here is like bumper cars at well over 100 miles per hour.
"13 cars on the lead lap, 226 laps to go. We're going to have a hot dog while we crank it up for you."
Let her eat.
And Hamlin's going to prevail over Matt Kenseth, with Jimmy Johnson's 48 now looking low.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth in that 17 car, he's been losing spots a lot since the drop of the green flag on the restart.
Spotter close to you? Yes, sir. Tell him to let Matt know that I will come by for driving tips next time we're here. 10-4. Oh, that's fun.
Ooh, that's just, I don't know about that.
I'm not sure either on that.
I don't know. Jimmy will have to explain that one.
Sounds like it might have been part of a pre-race conversation.
Maybe so. And now I know now I know why Hammond always sounded the way he did. I just realized with that mouthful of hot dog you got.
And they're good. Martin Truex, Tony Stewart battle for a couple of laps. Allmendinger's right there. So is Almirola. You know, Eric Almirola might be having a career day. He's in 11th place. He's flirted with the top 5. Whoa, gave the dinger a bump. Thought he was coming through, but just didn't have the straightaway speed to do it. Not that time.
Yeah. And one thing that Eric Almirola in the 43 has going for him, we know his car's been good on the long run. He has much fresher tires than any of these drivers in front of him, because he was one of the drivers came to pit road under one of those most recent cautions.
I really like that strategy, Larry. I mean, you can't give up track position, but if you're back where he was, that's a great strategy.
Speaking of hot dogs, anybody seen Jeff Hammond?
Hadn't heard from him in a while. I think the last we may have seen him, he was in the concession stand.
Guys, I am really right here and where it's all happening. I'm in the in-car camera booth right now, or the trailer, I should say. These are the guys that are giving us the great shots. Each one of these gentlemen have 2 cars that they're monitoring, and they're working with our director, Artie Kempner, trying to keep up with who, what, where, when, and how, what's going on the racetrack. But it's really intriguing to be able to watch these drivers, see the bumper cam, see the roof shots they've got, and the way they switch it and keep it up during the course of the race. Folks, these people make you feel like you're sitting right inside the cockpit.
We are getting some cool shots this year.
And these fellows are the best of professional video gamers. This is what they do for a profession. Watch those, move those cameras, pan them around, choose the shots, and we bring them to you. Well done, fellas. 215 to go. Jeff Gordon has put on a driving clinic today. After Kevin Harvick led the first 21 laps of this race, Gordon went to the front, and Steve, the only laps he's not led since were during the 2 cycles of green flag pit stops.
Mike, it's interesting how Jeff Gordon constantly analyzing during a race. He just asked Alan Gustafson, hey, what do the tires look like that just came off the car? And Alan said they look great on that last run. We discovered, though, we had a slow leak in the right front tire. Other than that, tires all look good.
His lap times look good right now, Steve, as he's running like 20:55. The only one close to him is Clint Boyer in that 15 car running second.
Well, I can tell you something. Jeff Gordon ain't no slow leak today. I can tell you that.
Here's his teammate battling Brad Keselowski for 4th. Jimmy Johnson, Krista, has had quite a comeback today.
Yes, he has, Mike, and that's one of the cars that Brad Keselowski is keeping track of. Just telling his team the Hendrick cars rotate so well at the 2/3 point of the corner. That's my weak spot, but my drive off is better than theirs.
But just remember, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 that we're riding with, he had worked his way up inside the top 10, had that pit road speeding penalty on that first caution. It's taken him this many laps to get back to the top 5.
Well, if you're going to win your 200th race and the way things are shaping up, why not just run 1, 2, 3?
You know, Jimmy has 6 wins here, and they asked him, what has made you so good at Martinsville? He says, watching my teammate when I first started coming here, Jeff Gordon, who's won here 7 times, that's how I learned to get around this half-mile track.
Yeah, when he said he wanted driving tips from Matt, I was thinking I'd go up there and talk to my teammate, Jeff Gordon.
Gordon leads Boyer by 1.7 seconds, with Earnhart Jr. another second back in 3rd.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Husqvarna, Taming the Wild. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Subway. Subway broke the 200-calorie breakfast barrier with egg white morning melts. Subway, eat fresh.
200 laps to go in Martinsville, Virginia, in the Goody's Fast Relief 500. Jeff Gordon has led 268 of 300 laps. 7-time Martinsville winner. There is his car owner, Rick Hendrick, atop Gordon's pit box, looking for that 200th win as an owner. And Gordon has been the class of the field all day. Clint Boyer, though, having a strong race in 2nd.
Yes, he is. He's been right there, and can't keep pace with you. But Larry, something I've been noticing, we were running 21.0s for the longest time. We've picked up about 2 or 3 tenths here in this period from halfway on. Seemed like everybody's picked up the pace just a teeny bit.
Yeah, it's not like the weather has changed, but here's the driver I've been watching, Jimmy Johnson. Qualified in 22nd position, had that pit road speeding penalty, went all the way outside the top 20, and now he's in 3rd, actually a little quicker than his teammate Jeff Gordon.
Not since June 2007 at Michigan, when Kyle Edwards did it, has a driver overcome a speeding penalty and won. Dale Earnhardt Jr. now in 4th, 3.5 seconds off the lead. He's led a couple of laps today and has been close to contention. Lap car of J.J. Yaley and then Brad Keselowski. The 5th place car, 4.3 seconds back. Keselowski started 7th. Denny Hamlin started 3rd, and Matt now running 6th.
Mike, he and Darian Grubb made the decision to pit to try to take on left side tires and make an adjustment because the car was not showing any trending to go to the loose side. It was still way too tight. The car still too tight. Denny says he's not sure if it's the two tires or the track bar adjustment that they've made, but they've got to look at reversing some adjustments on their next stop.
Thanks, Matt. Matt Kenseth started 21st, but he's worked his way forward continually. He is the best of the Fords right now in 7th place. Tony Stewart's gained 7 spots since the start of the day, come from 15th to 8th. He is 6.3 seconds off the lead.
And I don't know if Smoke's got a winning car or not, but he has done a nice. Look at that car. It doesn't have a scratch on it. He hadn't put it in harm's way all day long. I'm not sure how much car he's got left, but it could be more than we think.
Yeah, I know he won the race here in the fall, but I think this is one of the best runs from the drop of the green flag he's had in a while here.
2 drivers that had been beating each other senseless were A.J. Allmendinger in 9th and Eric Almirola in 10th. They were really going at it while we were in that last break, and Almirola tried, could not complete the pass, and now he is settled in 10th spot. Good run for the Dinger and a great run for Almirola. And a nice day for past champion Bobby Labonte, who is now in 11th after starting 16th in his Toyota.
His crew chief's pretty darn good when he comes to a track like this, Martinsville. Todd Barrier, he's a pretty smart guy. Doesn't surprise me to see Bobby running a lot better.
Yeah, Bobby's going to spend his off week helping his son Tyler search for the college he wants to attend starting next year.
Martin Truex Jr. has dropped to 12th. That's still 1 spot better than he started, but he was up flirting with the top 5 earlier.
You spoke of that. It's funny how that works out. I took Sarah. We went looking for colleges, and the one I like, she didn't really think that much of. Wonder why that is.
Now Greg Biffle, the first car showing 1 lap down, just ahead of Carl Edwards. We will double check that as we're showing our. It could be April Fool's Day with our scoring system. We had some problems earlier.
There you go.
We are showing 13 cars on the lead lap.
Are you arguing with the computer now?
Not at all. Can't explain it. Quick note on Bobby Labonte. He spent yesterday afternoon at Virginia International Raceway watching the 14-hour Chump Car sanctioned race for, and I quote, $500 crap cans.
That's our kind of race, isn't it?
He and his son were down there, and there was a Labonte in the car with a helmet on, and I really couldn't tell if it was Bobby or his son.
Well, all I know is 05 time, Jimmy Johnson in that 48 just drove by Clint Boyer in that 15. He moves into 2nd place. He's 2 seconds behind his teammate Jeff Gordon, our leader, in that 24.
Got that baby set up for coming on strong at the end of the day.
Well, traffic, you haven't passed, and that's the leader. Go get him. Caution.
Whoa. A lot of smoke from Casey Kane. Whoa. And he loops it coming onto pit road.
Yeah, he had smoke coming out the tailpipe when they took to the garage.
Good job, Good job.
I think something happened to the engine for sure right there. You'll see all that smoke come out the right side. It's going right on the right rear tire. Rick has put that HendrickCars.com on the. Can't get a good run with that on the car. You can get some good cars there though.
Another driver who has been having a bit of a problem is Jeff Burton. Burton ran in the top 5 earlier. He's fallen 2 laps back to 20th.
Yeah, they're going to end up having to keep pit road closed until they can get that all cleaned up and get Casey Kane off pit road. But I think what that caution does, we had a lot of drivers off sequence on pit stops because of those quick cautions. I think this kind of levels it back out.
Loosening up in Jimmy Johnson's pit.
Yeah, this is a big one right here. I mean, they've got that, overcome that penalty. No penalties.
Greg Biffle was the first car 1 lap down, and so our point leader will get the free pass on this caution.
See, the computer was anticipating that, Mike.
Okay. So that'll give us 14 cars on the lead lap at the restart. Plus, if all the lead lap cars pit, then some drivers would be eligible for the waiver round prior to the next restart. Last caution, only Almirola and Labonte pitted. Let's get down to Chris Myers.
Well, Mike, if you tuned in a little bit late, Jeff Gordon taking the lead early from Kevin Harvick. Casey Kane, the pole sitter, never led in this race. And then here's some tight quarter racing with Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Ryan Newman. Casey Kane getting past Clint Boyer. But on lap 98, Kyle Busch with some problems.
Yeah, I can't really figure out what happens here. He thought he broke the track bar. It doesn't look like that to me. Got loose entering the corner and then broke some stuff.
Running back of the pack, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. moving to the front. Gordon led 205 laps of the first 250 moments ago. Casey Kane with the problem and the smoke. We've had 8 leaders, 11 different lead changes in this, creating our 4th caution. Gordon leading now a total of 283 laps, and Jeff Gordon is the only driver to lead a lap in every race so far this season. And if you're wondering, we still have a ways to go, but Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson currently running 1-2. 11 times they have finished first or second.
Yeah, and Jeff's won 7 of those times, including the last few. So Jeff's on it. I told you at the top of the show there isn't any reason to worry about Jeff. He's going to be just fine.
Meanwhile, Brad Keslowski currently running 5th. Michael Waltrip, he's won 2 of the last 4 short track races, but on his radio not too long ago, he was saying the Hendrick cars are rotating so well into the center, we need to work on it.
That's exactly what I was hearing out of Clint Boyer and my guys. They were saying if we could just cut the middle like Jeff Gordon does, then we would outrun Jeff Gordon. But Clint says he just can't get it to turn. And you can tell that, Chris. They're just running up a little bit higher than you see the Hendrick cars.
Jeff Gordon, and it's been 16 races since his last win. He's trying to hang on here, Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Let's see what happens when they open pit road. The sweepers are still out. Pit road will be closed for at least 1 more lap.
And remember, that 2-car Keslowski, that Dodge, that's a brand new engine combination that they brought here and a brand new car just for Martinsville.
Right, they have a new engine block made of a new material, more like what's being used by some of the other manufacturers. Lighter and stronger is the goal for Dodge in that department. And we'll come around once more before they open pit lane to the lead lap cars.
Yeah, I just don't know that I see anybody really rolling the dice here and doing just 2 tires. The only ones that may be a possibility would be Almirola, Bobby Labonte, maybe Ryan Newman, because they were on pit road about 30, 35 laps ago. But I think as far, when you've got a car as good as Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson, Clint Boyer, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the last thing you want to do is what Denny Hamlin was complaining about, 2 tires, and it changes the way that car drives.
Yeah, Larry, you got to look at what's beating you. And you don't want to beat yourself by making a call like that. That would be just a short-term gain, I guarantee you, for a long-term loss. So you got to keep pace with the competition. They take 4, you probably should take 4.
Only 7 drivers have led this race, and 5 of those were during green flag pit stop sequences. Kevin Harvick led the first 21 laps, and Jeff Gordon 288 laps out of the 320 so far. 180 to go. Track equipment is clear of the back straightaway. Let's see if they open the pits this time.
Still closed. Yeah. And whatever happens here, now I feel safe to say all the lead lap drivers, everybody should end up pitting. It's still a 1-stop race even from there after this pit stop.
Yeah, we got to get this stay dry cleaned up. That engine in the 5-car really left a mess on pit entry over there.
So that will get blown away this time. But Darrell, this pit stop could really be pivotal because it is so hard to pass out on the racetrack. If you can gain a spot or 2 on pit road right here, right now, could prove big dividends later on.
It makes me a little bit nervous when the teams have this long to prepare for this stop. I mean, it's a crucial stop, like you said. You're anticipating it. You're building up for it. Don't make a mistake.
The track sweeper was blocking the pit entrance that time, so it'll be once more around.
Yeah, we should be good next time by. The sweepers got most of that stay dry out of the way over there.
3 Hendrick Chevys in the top 5, along with 1 of Michael Waltrip's Toyotas and 1 of Roger Penske's Dodges. Steve Addington, crew chief for Tony Stewart, made that winning call last week. A lot of folks second-guessed Darian Grubb for pitting his driver last week with the rains coming. But Grubb said this week, I thought we had a window. I thought it was going to open up and we'd get some green flags racing back in. Turned out not to be. Pit road's open. Dick Berggren.
Given the speeding penalty, Jimmie Johnson has been passing cars all day, Mike. Minor chassis adjustments. They had been worried about the oil temperature on that car, but the oil temperature on Johnson's car has now come back down again. Left side of your screen, Clint Bowyer. There'll be no chassis adjustments on that car. He is very fast. Steve.
Jeff Gordon saying he's gotten just a little bit tight in and a little bit loose off. Small track bar adjustment up on the 24 car. Dale Jr. saying that he's been very patient waiting for the end of these runs, Matt.
Denny Hamlin, bottom of your screen, 4 tires. This stop, reversing the track bar adjustment, and they're going to make a wedge adjustment, trying to get this car freed up to the center of the corner, Krista.
Matt, nobody is more descriptive than Brad Keselowski. He wanted to know exactly what Paul Wolfe was going to do. He said, I am so close to being there. Just give me a slight adjustment.
Jeff Gordon leads them off pit road. Jimmie Johnson, Keselowski, Earnhardt, Hamlin. Jeff Gordon has led most of the way. Can he hold on and deliver his 8th Martinsville victory? Stay tuned. Ready for the restart. Brad Keselowski was a capable challenger, but in trying to beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. off pit road, watch him come firing out of his pit stall, and in this last timing segment, he's too fast. He will restart tail end of the longest line, and look at this as Jeff Gordon comes out of his spot and just beats Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, I've been watching that all day, and that's where Jeff has really had a big advantage. It's the curious case of the missing timeline, I think.
10 wave arounds, but nobody got back onto the lead lap, so we will restart with 14 lead lap cars and 172 laps to go when they get to the line.
Well, we're going to find out what Jeff Gordon's got now, because Jimmie Johnson's going to test him.
Johnson's able to get down in that 48 car in front of his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., but here comes Jr. fighting back for second.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Johnson gives him just enough room.
Junior's got the position this time. He's going to have to give it. I think Jimmy's going to have to give it up.
A little pressure from behind from Hamlin.
What they need to realize, though, is Jeff Gordon's getting away, so they need to stop all that.
Boy, Denny Hamlin in 11 looked like he got in the back of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 88 that time through 3 and 4.
Well, Junior slowed down a little bit to let the Johnson in. And
Carl Edwards way down on the inside, and somehow Bobby Labonte moved over, let him in. Things are really getting racy right there. Logano looking low on Harvick. Track's just not wide enough for the way some of these fellows want to race right after the restart.
Well, Carl Edwards right now in the 99 car, a lot like his teammate Greg Biffle before the last caution. Carl is the first driver, 1 lap down. Would love to see a caution here right now.
Boy, Carl is really trying hard to hold that position.
Well, he's trying to hold that position because Brian Vickers in the 55 is the next driver 1 lap down right behind him.
And I was going to say that, Larry. And the 55 is trying really hard to take it away from him.
It's not over between Almirola and Allmendinger. The 22 took a big chunk out of 43's bumper about 3 laps ago. These two just can't avoid each other. And something's bound to happen before 500 laps is done here.
Well, Darrell, you talked about the intensity picking up and the speeds picking up. I think our top 3 drivers just ran their fastest lap of the race just a few laps ago.
Yeah, well, you know, you just keep making little changes to your car, adjusting to track conditions. That's what you want to see. You want your car to be the fastest right here coming up close to the end of the race. That's when you know the driver and the crew chief, everybody's doing a good job of keeping up with the track.
Oh, Vickers way up the racetrack. And that proves a bit costly.
Yeah, he's just trying really, really hard to get that spot away from trying to get away from Carl there, and he just he runs in there and he locks up the brakes a little bit, and the car shot up the hill with him.
It's almost like he had a little too much rear brake in it, and it just got loose when he got on the brakes hard.
Now here's Jeff Gordon. We had that speeding penalty for Keslowski, and you don't just restart at the tail end of the lead lap cars, you start at the tail end of the line. So Keslowski, since the restart, has passed 7 cars, but look how far back he is. Somewhere back here. Got a long way to go.
He's over a half lap down to Jeff Gordon already.
Yeah, when you get a pit road speeding penalty like Jimmie Johnson did on lap 100, you might can overcome it. That's going to be tough with 160-something laps to go.
And, you know, we talk about adjustments, your car being the best it can be. At the end of the race, this 88 car has gone off a little bit. They're not keeping up with the track, and the car's slowing down.
Denny Hamlin moves his Toyota up to 3rd.
Of our top 7, 8, 10 cars right there, Junior is running some of the slower lap times.
1,000 straightaways, 1,000 U-turns. That's 500 laps at Martinsville. And tough old racetrack.
Trust me, your left leg, it'll be numb for at least a couple of days. You'll limp around with that left leg hurting for a couple of days, laying on that brake pedal.
You know, Mike and Darrell, as I look at Jeff Gordon in his 24 car, I know he's sitting 25th in the points, but the only bad run he has truly had was Las Vegas. All the rest of it, just bad luck.
In 1964, Martinsville founder H. Clay Earls went down the street to Ridgeway, to the Ridgeway Clock Company, bought a grandmother clock to present to the winner, and they've done it here every race since.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Farmers. We are insurance. We are farmers.
150 laps to go at this beautiful short track in South Central Virginia as Jeff Gordon leads Jimmie Johnson now by just about 3 car lengths. Here's what Jimmie tweeted earlier this weekend about the coolest trophies ever. And yes, they were grandmother clocks back in Big Clay's day. Now it's a grandfather clock, larger version obviously, and a lot of winding to do.
I might
for
go
folks
home.
that have multiples of those.
I might go home and check mine. I'm not sure what kind I got. I have to check the gender of my clock when I get home.
Check them and count them, right? All 11.
That's right.
So as the 2 Hendrick Chevys hold station 1-2, we're hearing of a problem developing on the 99.
I think I just broke the transmission. Yeah, it's broke.
Come back on that, buddy?
I was just giving you an April Fool's joke, but
Yeah. What you're going to do is kill me, and then you'll be on your own.
Oh, man, I got to have some fun with it.
He has no problem having fun with his crew chief Bob Osborne.
I mean, they're like the odd couple, and Carl is always messing with Bob, and then Bob will mess with Carl. It's really crazy.
4th place for Dale Earnhardt Jr. holds off Clint Boyer, and for the lead, here comes Johnson.
We've seen this before, and it was for the win.
But Jimmie Johnson in that 48, he's just been nipping away at Jeff Gordon, his teammates' lead.
Just a little wee bit better. See it on the clock here, about a 10th.
Well, Darrell, we talked at the top of the show that there aren't that many one-race winners here, but there are fellows that when they've got it, they've got it. Look at the top 3. Johnson, Gordon, Hamlin. 17 Martinsville victories among the drivers that are in the top 3 right now.
And I mentioned earlier, and Jeff Gordon said it on Friday, I think it was, this track never changes. This is one of the few tracks we go to that every time we come here, it stays the same. So once you get it figured out, you can just repeat that time and time again.
And remember, started 22nd, 126 races here, only 5 times has it been won for a starting spot outside the top 20. He worked his way to the top 10, and then that pit road speeding penalty on the first caution at lap 100.
If I'm going to have a problem, I sure want to have it early here, because like we see, you can overcome it and work your way back, particularly when you have a hot rod as good as that one.
Now remember, Brad Keselowski started way at the back, and he is still just at 13th position with a car that was certainly top 5 capable. 142 to go. There will be at least one more pit stop. depending on cautions. Let's have a look graphically at Jimmie Johnson's day, as Larry was pointing out. Starting midfield, worked his way up, dropped like a rock from that penalty, and then climbed to the lead. Wish my portfolio looked like that.
Well, you know what? It's that old. It's like Keslowski, and then it could have been like Johnson too, but he's overcome his. You beat yourself, and that's one of those things you just.
Spin, turn 2.
Whoa.
Travis Kvapil will bring out the caution flag at lap 361.
361.
Car just went around on him.
140 to go there, crew chief.
I want to make sure I get her packed full of fuel.
Yes.
And no April Fools here. Carl Edwards gets the free pass on this caution.
He's going to have so much trouble restarting with that transmission problem.
See what happened here, Darrell?
I think he just went down there and spun out. I'm not sure if maybe on the other end he got some stuff on his tires like we saw the 36 car do earlier, but yeah, he just spun the thing around.
He was 26th at the time. Hold the flame broiled jokes, please.
Now, as the field gathers behind the pace car, pit road is still closed. Every lap we run prior to pit road being open helps the cause on being able to make it to the end on fuel from here.
138, 39 laps. What do you think?
I think we can make it from here. I feel like we're going to see every driver hit pit road. We may see some different tire strategy, but I think the big thing is get that thing full of fuel. We know we don't have to worry about that then.
A big break for Tony Stewart. With Casey Kane out of the race, Stewart now has the first pit stall in use. That'll help him exiting.
The guy's
See
got
if he can improve on 7th right now.
The guy that's in the catbird seat when it comes to pit stalls, that 24 car, they picked a good one. He makes up a lot of time in getting out of his pit box.
Bergie?
Now, Jimmie Johnson is going to pit, and he's going to take 4 tires, Mike. A long time for Chad Knaus to make the decision because Johnson's car is getting better with every lap today. Steve.
Dick, they're going to take a spring rubber out of the left rear spring for Jeff Gordon. He also told gas man Brad Pickens, make sure you get it slammed full of fuel. The 88 says they can make it from fuel from here. Matt?
Denny Hamlin's car really responded to the last changes, but they're only going to go half of those last adjustments, the wedge and track bar, because he felt like the car was really getting close. Mike.
Thanks, Matt. Looking for the race off pit road as Denny Hamlin gets out in front of Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson.
A couple of things happened there, though. The 48 stalled. He left his pit box. The car stalled. Watch this. When he gets ready to leave his pit box, drops the jack. It's good to go.
Well, there appeared to be some confusion there, Dick.
Yeah, there sure was. The question was whether they had all the lug nuts on or whether they did not have all the lug nuts on, and they were trying to interpret the NASCAR official's signal as to what happened there.
Okay. There you see the official in white with the white helmet.
You go. Stop, back up. Go.
Man, that'd drive you crazy right there.
And Tony Stewart, without anybody in front of him now, came in 7th, came out 4th. Down to Chris Myers for an AT&T race break.
Mike, just a quick recap. If you tuned in a little bit late, Jeff Gordon set the stage early, taking the lead from Kevin Harvick. Casey Kane, remember his second pole of the season prior to this race, has yet to lead a lap. There's Harvick, last year's winner, in a dramatic finish, sporting a new paint scheme. On lap 98, Kyle Busch, who's yet to win here with problems.
Yeah, something went wrong in the back of his car. Wheel hop or something broke, and he slid into the outside wall, ending what was a really promising day for that young man.
On lap 229, Gordon dominating, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets to the front, leads a few laps. Third race this year he has led, and Casey Kane, who worked his way back, a blown engine.
Yeah, what a tough year for Casey Kane has been so far. 2 poles, no laps led, and another problem here.
And moments ago, Jimmie Johnson, who had worked his way into the lead ahead of teammate Jeff Gordon told to stop and then told to go.
Yeah, there was a misinterpretation from what the official was saying. I think the crew chief, Chad Canals, thought the official was saying, stop, you got to stay here. But in fact, that wasn't the case. He left, lost a spot.
What's a driver to do?
He has to listen to his crew chief. You can't see what's going on. Whatever Chad says goes.
Want to go back to the tires, too? You were okay with that on the pit stop? And what about fuel?
I think 4 tires. I think the call these guys made, you've got a long way to go. You've got enough gas to get to the finish. So I like the calls that these guys made.
And watching Tony Stewart, who's already won twice this year, doubling his wins in the month of March with 2. He only has 1 win in his career in the month of April. That happened here at Martinsville. So he is still within striking distance. And that's our AT&T race break. Let's see how the drivers are doing in the Fastest Driver Challenge. You can sign up to play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge by texting FAST to 34763 or visiting AT&TFastestDriver.com for a chance to win 4Gs. It's all brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, Rethink Possible. Jeff Gordon in his Cup race, 8th time that he has led more than 300 laps.
Thanks, Chris. Getting ready for the restart. It'll be 132 to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came out 9th on that one. Let's see what happened here.
They may need to make a big swing at this thing. He was talking about the car had gone off a little bit. Let's see. They made a wedge adjustment over on the left rear.
Had lug nut issues on the right rear right there.
They just had a lot of things going on that pit stop, and more trouble on the left side. Could have been putting a rubber in or out of that left rear.
3 drivers took the wave around to get back on the lead lap. Marcus Ambrose, Brian Vickers, and Joey Logano. So we'll restart with 18 lead lap cars, including Kyle Edwards, who got the free pass. Here come Hamlin and Gordon to the green flag.
Have you noticed as this race winds down, how Jeff Gordon's dominance is starting to be challenged?
Well, and we talked about it at the top of the show, Mike, that we normally have to get to the final 100 or 150 laps to see who really maybe has their arms around this half-mile racetrack.
I tell you a guy that's impressing me, and I haven't talked about him a whole lot, is that 17 car running there in 4th place, Matt Kenseth. We know the Roush guys haven't been that great here, but Kenseth's got his car dialed in pretty good.
Well, he's got a great view of the 2nd place battle. Johnson looks like this time he will clear Jeff Gordon and settle into 2nd, Michael.
Hey guys, we talked about at the opening of the race. Do we call it Hamlinville? Do we call it Johnsonville? Or is it Gordontown? Well, look who all has wound up at the front here late in the going.
Well, and you look at the last 12 races here, Michael, only 4 drivers has won here, and Jeff Gordon is not one of those 4 because it's been that long since he won one of his 7 races here.
Martin Truex dive bombed Dale Jr. into turn number 3 and comes out with the spot.
Boy, he did too. I mean, he overdrove the corner, but Jr. was there to catch him.
And now Newman around the outside of his boss and teammate Tony Stewart. That is for 6th place.
I think Tony's got a pretty solid race car. I don't think he has a great race car.
But you think about Ryan Newman, like Jimmy Johnson, had the speeding penalty on that first caution, went a lap down, got the free pass on the 3rd caution just a little over 100 laps ago. There he is sitting in the 6th spot.
And the thing I like about that, like we saw on the earlier caution, when you're back in there and you don't have anything to lose, you can come to pit road, you can make changes, change tires when nobody else does. At the end of the day, you end up with a bit of an advantage.
Dale Jr. getting a little impatient with Truex. Boyer closing in on the 17, and for the lead, Johnson is there all over the back bumper of Denny Hamlin. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 17 grandfather clocks between them. Johnson's got room. Hamlin has the drive off the corner.
Yeah, you got to be really careful on that exit and not push up and get into the 11 car there. You got to give him a little respect here, and he's got to give you a little room if you're going to make the pass.
Boyer to the inside of Kenseth, and Clint Boyer back up into 4th position. Meanwhile, further back, Harvick got into a dust-up with Jamie McMurray that also involved poor Kyle Busch, who is 78 laps down. Watch the green number 1 here. with what he'd hoped would be a little bump and run, but there's another car to the outside, Regan Smith. And that one ball just kind of pinballed around in the backstretch.
But I think what started that, Harvick got real loose when he put the throttle up and had to jump out of the throttle, DW.
I am shocked at the 29 car. I thought he would really be a contender today. I thought he had a car maybe as good as that truck he had yesterday, but obviously he's been off.
Denny Hamlin in the lead with 120 laps to go at Martinsville Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. It's on for the lead in Martinsville. Jimmy Johnson has been massaging the left rear corner of Denny Hamlin's car in the middle of the corner, but Hamlin in that 11 has just had superior drive off the corner, and he has been able to hold on to the lead with Johnson and Gordon looking on.
Going to have to dive bomb him. You're just going to have to drive it down in here, going into turn 1 right here, stick it down in there and drive it up in there, maybe move him up just a skosh. That's what it's going to take.
But you're right, Mike, right there. That's where Denny Hamlin's so strong when he gets back that throttle. I believe he'll get him here, though.
Jimmy's got to do it soon because there's traffic ahead. Right now it's clear racetrack. Jeff Gordon wants to follow Johnson through on the inside.
I tell you, though, Hamlin has done a good job. He's given Jimmy plenty of room. There you go. Got to move him a little bit. That's what it's going to take.
Jimmy got loose and got bumped by his teammate there.
You're down on that bottom of the 48 car. You just get a little frustrated, get a little irritated, and you say, look, I could put you up into the loose stuff up there and ruin your day.
Side by side, the two drivers who've won 9 of the last 11 Sprint Cup races here.
But Mike, you just mentioned it. It's going to get interesting here in about 3 or 4 laps because they're going to catch the back of the field. That's going to really shake things up.
I think that's why Hamlin keeps working that outside, because he figures these guys will drop to the inside and leave the outside open, and he'll be all right. Now, you know, there's some people that would say, oh, I bet they're having fun. Oh, no, they're not.
This is work.
Well, and while those 3 drivers are having fun, Clint Boyer in the 15, he's been reeling this front group in little by little back there in 4th.
I believe Johnson may have done it that time.
Johnson has the lead. Can Gordon follow him through? Did it.
Well, what happens is once the 48 got by, the 11 said, okay, I've lost the lead now, so he lets the 24 go too.
A nice job by David Rudiman and Dave Blaney, showing a lot of respect for the leaders and moving out of the racing line so they could battle. Steve?
Mike, that skirmish between the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson actually helped Jeff Gordon, because it was just 15 laps ago. Jeff Gordon said, we've lost our drive off the corners.
And that's where he was so strong the first half of this race, getting off the corner.
This is the 5th time since Jeff Gordon's last win here that he has led more than 100 laps.
Looks like if it stays, everything stays pretty much like it is right now, it's going to be a battle between the 48 and the 24. Saw that here a couple of years ago. 48 coming on at the end.
Darrell, you know this as well as anybody with 11 victories here at Martinsville, but this track changes quite a lot. Jeff Gordon was so fast and early in the going, you had to think that maybe that car was going to give up. See how dark that track's gotten? That's changed his car.
Yeah, you're right, Michael. That rubber buildup, it actually turns into little bumps. And when your car hits it, it'll chatter the car a little bit, and you can lose some of that advantage you had.
How about Keslowski? Boy, as he fought his way back. He just passed Matt Kenseth for 6th. Remember, he started tail end of the longest line at lap 315, 82 laps ago. And Krista, Tony Stewart restarted 4th, but he has fallen back to 13th. What's up?
Yeah, he has fallen back. They made another small adjustment on that last stop. He said the entry and exit were good. He was still struggling in the center. Now, he said he's chattering the rear at the start of the run, and he just can't get that drive off like he wants.
And that's what I was talking about. This track builds up little rubber bumps in the groove where that black is.
I know we've been talking about the Hendrick drivers. We've been talking about Denny Hamlin, but I've been so impressed with Clint Boyer in this 15 car. He pretty much has been in the top 5 all day long, just drove by Denny Hamlin to take that 3rd spot away.
What about Hamlin, Matt?
Mike, a lot of times you'll see great athletes exceed what they could go with their equipment. That's exactly what happened with Denny Hamlin. Once he lost the lead and then fell back to third, he says, guys, simply, that's about all I can carry us right now. They're hoping that we get one more pit stop to take one more stab at improving the handling of that 11. If not, they can go the distance on fuel.
Just inside 100 laps to go. Greg Biffle's popped back up into the top 10. Still a lot to settle here at Martinsville. Who will get the grandfather clock?
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Toyota Care.
90 laps complete. Jimmy Johnson leading his Hendrick Chevy teammate Jeff Gordon by 1 second. Clint Boyer 2.7 seconds back. Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman are the top 5, and Johnson beginning to stretch it out a little bit. Still a lot of racing left to go here in Virginia.
And Larry, I mean, the important thing about today, and I think some of the races we go to, this is it, racetracks in the chase.
Yes.
And so having a good car here and being good here could pay dividends later on.
Brad Keselowski just moved into 5th. Krista moving on up.
He is. He's come back from that speeding penalty. And you know, when I asked crew chief Paul Wolf what makes Brad so good at this track, he said it's a rhythm track. It's similar to Bristol in that you have to get in your rhythm and keep your patience. He has certainly done that on this last run.
Thanks, Krista. Let's take an inside look at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. We're going to take you on board for a ride around the track with 7th place Dale Earnhardt Jr.
We got nothing coming in your mirror, man. Slow car going to be on the outside up here. The 39, 11, and 15 are all coming to you.
Get unlimited access with live in-car audio and real-time stats only on the Sprint Network. Learn more at sprint.com/speed.
Well, Larry, I tell you what, I'm watching that 2 car. Keselowski, he has got a really, really good race car right now.
Yeah, he's moved into the top 5. He's 4 seconds behind our leader, Jimmy Johnson, here with 85 laps to go as he starts to work on the back of Denny Hamlin in that 11 car.
And he's the fastest car on the racetrack at this moment.
He has been, Mike, kind of consistently here over the last several laps. He's just been really picking them up and putting them down and gaining on everybody that's in front of him.
Jeff Gordon trying to eat into Jimmy Johnson's lead as Johnson is in a little bit of traffic here. It's 9/10 of a second over his teammate.
Yeah, one thing I see difference in the 48 and the 24. 48 gets through traffic really fast. Jeff, on the other hand, the 24 car has to work a little harder. Doesn't just get right by cars like Jimmy does.
But Darrell, don't you think that's part of what he reported? He doesn't have the drive off that he had earlier, has to work a little harder with his race car.
Yeah, and normally that you're going to race the leader harder than you are the guy running second. So Jimmy's really got a pretty good car right now, particularly getting through traffic. Here's Dale Jr. get around Ryan Newman here. That's for 6th spot. Junior's been struggling with his car, been complaining about not in the racetrack.
5 caution flags today. The first for Kyle Busch, pounded his car into the wall in turn 3. A lazy spin by Dave Blaney. Kenny Schrader got into Montoya. Casey Kane blew up, and Travis Kvapil spun. Those were the 5 caution flags. Jimmy Johnson's now led for 34 laps. That's about 10% of the laps his teammate has led. Jeff Gordon's been in front for 322 circuits, but cares only about the lap that's 80 laps from right now.
Yeah, that black groove, the blacker, that's rubber buildup, and it turns into like little rumble strips. And you'll be accelerating out of the corner, hit one of them, and it'll make the back end snap around. Or if you hit it with the front, make the front end take off. That's what you fight late in the race here.
And I think that's one reason we don't know who really is going to be the guy to beat till we get to this last 100 laps or so.
The car you saw go way up out of the groove down in turns 1 and 2 was David Reagan. He got bumped up there by Marcus Ambrose as they went 3 wide, but everybody continues. And Keselowski has caught Hamlin now for 4th place. Think of where Keselowski might be if it weren't for that speeding penalty.
because he had to go way back and was way behind our leader on that restart after that. He's starting to get a little bit impatient, I think, with Denny Hamlin in the 11.
Keselowski was a half lap down when they went back racing.
Five drivers have gotten the free pass. Four of them have rebounded to run here on the lead lap. Everybody but Paul Menard, who is now 2 laps down. Biffle, Allmendinger, Newman, and Edwards use the free pass to get back on the lead lap and be in contention with 17 lead lap cars at 76 laps to go.
Remember, the only way the free pass works is you have to stay out. You can't pit, and the leader has to come to pit road. That puts you in front of the leader, and then when they give the 1 to go, you're able to make that lap back up and go in behind the pack of cars before they restart the race.
And you would say sometimes, well, what a disadvantage. But listen, what it does to you, it puts you on a different strategy. And it gives you a chance to do things that guys up front that can't give up track position. You can go ahead and do something to your car on a pit stop while they got to stay out or try to maintain track position.
Jimmy Johnson trying to sail away as his teammate Jeff Gordon has to battle traffic. He had to use a little bump and run on David Reagan to get by the 34. 74 laps to go in the Goody's Fast Relief 500 at Martinsville. Will take you side by side. Jimmy Johnson puts the Ford of Marcus Ambrose 1 lap down. That leaves 16 on the lead lap, and Denny Hamlin drops another spot to Ryan Newman. You saw Dale Jr. Move his way back up into the top 5. Jeff Gordon is 1.2 seconds behind Johnson. Clint Boyer 3.7 back, then Keselowski and Earnhardt 5 seconds off the lead as we come down to 68 laps to go. It's been a long victory drought for Junior. For Jimmy Johnson, he has only 1 win in the last 33 races. That came at Kansas last October.
Yeah, I think it's only 2 in the last 49 races. 1 at Talladega back in the spring, and then, as you said, Kansas in the fall.
He's driving like he knows it, too. He's looks like he wants to add a victory and a clock to his collection here today.
Works under Casey Mears.
He's been able, I really have been impressed with every time he catches someone, no one holds him up. He's able to get upside of them and pass them and go on. Otherwise, Jeff Gordon seems to struggle a little bit more when he catches people.
Now we saw Ambrose go a lap down to Johnson, and now, as we've documented before, once you are a lap down, no need to fight off those next couple of lead lap cars.
You know, Mike, you talked about Ryan Newman getting by Denny Hamlin for the 6th spot. You talked about all the drivers that got the free pass, which is actually the first driver a lap down when the caution comes out. I gave you the rule for the wave around, but you think about that now. 3 of our top 6 drivers had pit road speeding penalties during this race so far. Johnson, Keselowski, and Ryan Newman.
And here comes the Norfolk Southern. Dragging up the line, which they moved a couple hundred feet away from the backstretch to allow room for more campers and viewing there on the back straightaway. Each of those engines has about 7,000 or 8,000 horsepower. But Jimmy Johnson has got all he needs, even if it's only 1/10 as much, as he leads Jeff Gordon by 1.1 seconds with 62 to go.
That'd be about like all these engines here combined.
Look at the drive off the corner. Gordon's is still pretty good, though not quite as good as Johnson's, though the gap is staying constant at just about 1 second. Now Brian Vickers, last car on the lead lap, the 55. He will go 1 lap down. He is the 16th place car.
Yeah, now he's going to put up a good fight here, trying to Vickers is in the 55, but Jimmy got by, and that allowed Jeff to close up a little bit. When I watch Jeff Gordon race, I'm never quite sure, but this guy right here, I thought sure he didn't use all his stuff up getting to where he is.
But I don't know, DW. Brad Keselowski in that 2 car who drove by Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin just not that long ago. He's up in the 4th spot. he is still one of the quickest cars on the racetrack right now.
But he was racing with the 15 car of Boyer, pretty hot and heavy trying to get around him. And then all of a sudden he fell back some. And now Dale Jr. is actually closing back up on Keslowski in the 2. So he's been driving awfully hard is what I'm saying.
Well, the leader has to work to get cars a lap down. That makes it a little easier for the second place driver, and Jeff Gordon closed it down to 0.6 of a second on Johnson, as Johnson had to take a little bit of time in lapping the 55. Jeff Gordon has now gone past Vickers, and the gap is just about 3/4 of a second, first to second.
And this is about the time in the race. You got about I don't know, 60 laps to go. Your brakes are really good. I still got really good brakes. My car's handling pretty good. Now is when you got to turn it up a notch. Now is when, if you're sitting back there like Boyer or Keselowski or even Dale Jr., you got to go now. Time to go.
9th place, Martin Truex, A.J. Allmendinger. 10 seconds behind the lead. The 27 of Paul Menard is 2 laps down. He is racing his teammate, Jeff Burton. Oh, Junior had the inside on Keselowski, but Keselowski had the run off the corner.
Most likely he'll give him. Yep, I thought he might. I'm in a hurry. I'm a little faster than you are. Excuse me.
I'm a little behind, and I'm way behind.
That's right. These two beverages don't go together. Let me buy, please.
4th place is at stake here.
Whoa! Now nipped that right front, got him a little sideways.
As we close in now on about 54
to go, we ran it back down.
But with 54 laps to go, I think now, after last year, 1 point per position, these drivers know how important every point is, every spot.
Now, 150 laps ago, that might have been a gimme. Oh, you go ahead, I'll get you later. But the sand's running out of the hourglass, and there are no gifts the rest of the way with just 53 laps to go.
Trust me, right now you're going to use up everything you got. What energy you've got, what you've been holding back, all those patient times that you've lied that got to maybe get under you and let him go. Not anymore. Whoa, there you go.
Keselowski up the racetrack.
Still there. Bumper, still there, still there.
And
still
Junior
there, clear.
capitalizes.
See, that's what I saw in the 2 car, Larry. He had to overdrive his car to get to where he is, and I think he's used up his stuff.
Go get him.
Meanwhile, Jimmy lapping last year's winner, Kevin Harvick, and that allowed Jeff Gordon to close right back up to within 0.6 of a second once again. And Harvick gives Gordon just enough room off the corner.
Would you have thought Larry Harvick started on front row outside pole? You would have thought he'd been in 2 laps down in this race today?
Especially watching him in practice on Friday.
50 laps to go, 15 cars still on the lead lap, racing for the win in Martinsville. 45 laps to go on the half mile at Martinsville, Virginia. This race just coming to the 3-hour mark as Jimmy Johnson leads Jeff Gordon by just half a second. Took his time getting past Landon Castle, and Gordon pounces. Gordon sees his teammate not very far ahead.
Gordon's better right now. His car's a little bit better than Jimmy's. He's starting to inch back up to his back bumper here. Uh-oh. Junior gets by the 15. Junior's car really, over the last 10, 15, 20 laps, has started to come back around too.
So Rick Hendrick Chevrolets are now 1, 2, 3, a fact that was not lost on Clint Boyer and his team.
You know, these Hendrick boys are awfully tough here at Martinsville. Yeah, must be something to that. Turns out they're pretty good here. Yeah, better than average.
They're 1, 2, 3 right now with Casey Kane in the garage with engine woes after starting this race from the pole. Boyer is the best Toyota in 4th. Keselowski, the leading Dodge, in 5th, and Matt Kenseth is the best Ford in 8th. Here's today's 5-hour energy big move of the race. Last restart, Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson got going and got racing side by side, lap after lap for the lead.
Might as well open up another 5-hour energy, because that man in 24 must have just taken one. He's on it.
There's the gap. It's car lengths, not seconds now. 2 car lengths, maybe 3. 41 laps to go.
And we've got Hendrick drivers 1, 2, 3. Remember, Hendrick drivers, they've won 10 of the last 18 races here. Oh, by the way, in the other 8, they finished second 6 of those races.
Ambrose in the 9 has gone a lap down. Dale Jr. in third, 5.9 seconds back of the lead. Paul Menard will serve a pass-through penalty, made a green flag stop and was too fast exiting.
That's really deceiving on the exit over there. I've say this a lot of tracks we go to, but that last segment over there, you're all the way out to almost on the track before you're out of that box.
Truex and Almirola and Allmendinger, who is ahead of Truex right now. Those 3 have battled back and they've had their own race all day. Right now 9th, 10th, and 11th. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, what a great run for A.J. Allmendinger. You talked about it, got the free pass back on that second caution back at lap 244. Really struggled a lot of this weekend, and here he is up there solidly inside the top 10 with about 37 to go.
Greg Biffle, 12th, which is, I think, way better than the Biff thought he would end up today. They've struggled through the weekend. They weren't fast in practice. Didn't have a great qualifying. He started 26th, and they've really turned a rough weekend into a good day.
There we're back running those 21.0s again. Most of the cars at the front of the field right now, 21.03 on our leader. Jeff Gordon just laid down a 20.99, picked up about a half a tenth on the 48 car there. And Jeff seems like his car might be a little bit better right at this moment.
You saw Bobby Labonte 13th, Kyle Edwards 14th, and the last car on the lead lap will be Tony Stewart in 15th. 35 to go.
And that's going to be the next driver that Jimmy Johnson in the 48 is going to try to put a lap down. And I'm sure Tony's just not going to roll over because Jeff Gordon now has pulled within about 2 car lengths of Jimmy.
Listen to that engine. 9,500. Been doing that for like the last 3 hours.
Kyle Busch, straight and smooth. You're doing great.
Just don't look back.
Johnson maintains, but Gordon is there. 9 of Jimmy Johnson's 55 Sprint Cup wins have come in races where his teammate Jeff Gordon has led 100 or more laps. 3 of those were right here.
And you know, this is what Jimmy Johnson knows. That dude in that 24 car, he might be holding back a little bit, and I'm not sure how much he's holding back and if he has anything left in the 48 or not. That's the game you're playing right now.
Yeah, Darrell, every time I think that Jeff Gordon's closing on Jimmy Johnson, it's like Jimmy steps it up for a lap or 2, pulls back away a little bit.
Stewart high, Johnson low. And the defending Sprint Cup champ goes a lap down to the 48.
Yeah, he's very courteous. Tony is. He gave the line to Jimmy. Now he gives the line to Jeff and falls back in behind him and probably hopes he can stay with them for a while.
Darrell, I think where Jimmy has the slight advantage over Jeff Gordon right now, we've talked about it, it's where Jeff Gordon was so strong in the beginning, is that drive off the corner. You can see his car being a little tail happy as he picks the throttle up.
And see, as long as you're not being pressured, Larry, you can control that. You don't have to really jump back in the throttle and try to pick up a little extra time. But when that 24 car gets up behind you and you start rushing it a little bit, that thing will start snapping loose with you.
And you see the ebb and flow of Jimmy Johnson's lead over Jeff Gordon. Half a second, 0.6, back and forth. As the leader gets into traffic, Gordon gets ever closer.
This is what makes a driver great. When you got somebody like Jeff Gordon breathing down your back and you're able to sit there and maintain your nice smooth pace, run your line, and not get in a hurry.
Two weeks. We're in Texas on the 1.5 mile super speedway. Saturday, April 14th, Saturday night. Under the lights, NASCAR on Fox.
Yeah, Hammond's already saddling up his horse, getting ready to head west. Take him 2 weeks to get there, but he'll be there.
You know, as I look at our top two drivers right now, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, Jeff Gordon in the 24, you think back to just a couple, 3 years ago, these two are really starting to get on each other's nerves, and it especially was happening right here at Martinsville, where they were beating and banging on each other, running first and second that day.
Oh, no, they weren't getting on each other's nerves. The 48 was getting on that guy's nerves.
Right. Joey Logano has made a green flag pit stop. We are 26 laps to go. We'll take our final side-by-side break and then bring you to the checkered flag here in Martinsville. 21 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, 0.8 of a second as they work a bit of race traffic.
You hear that music? Da-da, da-da. I tell you,
is that what you hear coming out of Jeff Gordon's car?
That's what I hear coming out of 24 car. He's sitting back there saying, about 20 to go right now. Might be time to turn it up a notch.
Well, on the stopwatch, Darrell, the difference between those cars is hundreds.
Still there.
And now Johnson gets into a mess of traffic, double wide in front of him. Opportunity Gordon as Ambrose and Biffle are side by side. They are not racing for position. Biffle's a lead lap car. Ambrose is 2 down. They'll have to settle this so Johnson can get by. Now, what about the third place car, Steve?
Trouble for Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mike. Steve Letarte just said we are showing 2 laps short. Just lift earlier than you are to save what you can.
Well, now is not the time to be telling Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 laps shy. You should have told him that a number of laps ago.
And this is no April Fool, they've just told Jeff Gordon the same thing. You need to save fuel. Wow.
You know what I'd be telling him, Larry? Don't tell me that now.
No, you needed to tell me that when I left pit road. All of these drivers pitted with 137 laps to go.
Yeah.
And after they pitted, we ran 5 caution laps. And here, it's a huge ratio as far as caution to green. I believe on what I found out in the garage area this morning and yesterday, I don't know that they're as close as they think they are, especially with the race pace where it's at.
Maybe they're anticipating a green-white checker. Maybe, you know, some overtime. Maybe that could get you into trouble. But if it goes the distance like it looks like it's going to, should be fine.
15 to go now. 15 laps, 7.5 miles left to race here. That's about 1.5 gallons, almost 2. The 3 cars that took the wave around earlier, Marcus Ambrose, Joey Logano, Brian Vickers, they have since made pit stops, the 3 of them. So keep an eye out for them because they're on fresh tires and they're flying, trying to get to the finish of this one.
I'm a lot like that guy driving that 48 car. I'm looking in my mirror and I say, man, he closes, then I get away. Then he's there and then he isn't. But if he ever gets there, I say woe be unto the 48.
Yeah, the last 2 laps, he's chopped about 2/10 off of that lead. In fact, it's down to about 2 car lengths right now.
Doesn't he have hungry written on that car somewhere?
Oh, yes. Drive to end hunger. Half a car length the distance now. So close, Darrell, and yet so far.
Yeah, but I tell you, the man, the master, he's after that 48 car.
And we've talked about if one of these drivers can get this win, it'll be Hendrick's 200th win. When you look at those 2 drivers, they have 140 of those 199 wins. I have to believe that there's really a bit of an ego. I want to be the driver to get that 200th win for Rick Hendrick.
And I mentioned this earlier, but all those 200 wins, should they get this one today, are Cup wins.
Yes.
Had nothing to do with Nationwide, Truck, or anything else. All Cup.
Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin, who ran so well up near the front, has faded back to 9th place. But mark these words. In 3 of the last 4 Martinsville races, the pass for the win has come within the last 4 laps of the race. Will we go 4 for 5?
I don't know, but I'm getting nervous.
Wouldn't
I know
doubt
it.
Be 9 to go this next time by.
How much did you lose that the other night with that lottery ticket?
No, I got it. I doubled down on Kentucky and I got it all back.
Oh, okay. All $640 million.
Yeah.
Good. Good job. You're buying.
Now, our leaders have fairly clean racetrack in front of them. Next driver up there is Martin Truex Jr. in the 56. Right now, Martin's the 11th place driver.
And when I tell you, you cannot look back. If you start looking back to see where Jeff Gordon is, you'll lose time on a little track like this. You'll miss your mark. You'll make a mistake. You can't look back. We got a car slow down the back.
Yeah, Ruderman slowed up in turn 2, Darrell. He might have cut down a tire. He's going to try to limp around to pit road.
He tried to get there that time, and there was just too many drivers, too many cars coming by. He couldn't get to pit road.
Rick Hendrick has always said there are no team orders at Hendrick Motorsports. Each driver, each crew chief, each team is out there to win, no matter who they're battling for the win.
Well, they're going to get ready. There's going to be a battle. Something's going to have to give between these two cars. They're going to have to figure it out.
6 laps to go.
Hello, I'm here. Yoo-hoo.
2 of the best in the business. Gordon looks inside. Johnson gives him just enough room, but gets the drive off the corner and keeps the lead. 5 laps to go.
That's where Jimmy in that 48's been so strong, Darrell, over these last 100 laps off the corner.
Yeah, and he'll give him that inside getting in because he knows he's got that good line coming off. It gives him a good shot off the corner.
And a huge traffic jam ahead of them right there.
All right, now you see
bump.
Now you see Jeff Gordon. What he's trying to do now, he's going to get that run off on the high side and then dive down right here.
Ruderman has 2 flats. He may not make it to the pits. They are side by side for the lead.
This is where Gordon will pack it down into turn 3 right there. I think he'll get him right here.
Starter has the caution in hand. No, that's the passing flag. Ruderman has stopped and we're under yellow.
Caution's out.
Now the drivers that were close on fuel, this is not what you wanted to see right here. I have no idea why David Ruderman did not go to the pits a while ago. I mean, no sense in that.
He drove right by the pit entrance over there and kept going.
Jimmy Johnson is now being advised to save fuel. Jeff Gordon. Now watch for the caution light in the upper left of your screen. Now there the light comes out. However, it is not the position of the cars at the moment of caution, except to end the race. It is the last line they crossed of the scoring loops around the racetrack that determines the restart position. And the scoring is showing Jeff Gordon as the leader.
Yeah, Gordon was pretty much the leader all the way through in 3 and 4 coming down here to get the caution. So I think he definitely was the leader of the race.
Chad Knaus on the right with the 48. Alan Gustafson with the 24. One's thrilled, one's not.
Well, if we saw the 3rd crew chief, Steve Letarte of the Hendrick camp, he's thrilled to death with that caution because it gives him one more shot with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Tony Stewart gets the free pass. We'll have our 5th green-white checker finish in Martinsville history. And here's Steve.
24 staying out, Mike, and Alan Gustafson just told Jeff Gordon they are 5 laps to the good. Jeff said, how much do you need? He said, no, 5 laps to the good, just playing it safe.
Dale Jr. running 3rd. The gap will close right up to the leaders.
Why am I backing it up? Am I going to make it on fuel? We're real close, bud. We're right on the number. If you save some, we should make it. Well, damn, dude, I didn't know we needed to save fuel. Keep doing what you're doing. You're fine. You're fine.
Well, they've decided to stop, Steve.
Yeah, and they decided also, Mike, just to take left side tires. I think you heard the frustration in Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s voice. He said he didn't know soon enough.
Well, only 2 of the lead lap cars stayed out, the 2 leaders.
And with 100 and something laps on your tires, I know track position is important. I think just two fresh tires is going to be huge. But remember, it's only going to be 2 laps. But that's big right there.
I would say, who restarts 3rd here? Who's going to restart?
Looks like to
3rd?
me possibly Clint Boyer. 15 won the battle off pit road.
That's the guy you better keep an eye on.
He and Keslowski. 2 to go. We'll get the restart. They will wave the green flag, and as long as the leaders take the white flag under green, the next flag they see would end the race. If we get a caution before they come around to take the white, we'll try it again, and then we'll try it a third time if necessary. Michael, who do you like?
I love racing, and this is going to be good. Can you believe that just the first 2 cars stayed out, and Bowyer's sitting there on new tires along with Keslowski and Newman? There's no way, in my humble opinion, those 2 leaders are going to be able to hold off these guys on tires. This is going to be fun to watch, though.
Well, Michael, yeah, they're sitting there with over 130-something laps on those tires, but I think they were in a box. If they pit, then you get drivers behind them that they possibly stay out.
Here's what I would do. If I were teammates and I wanted to be sure one of us won this race, I would say, Jeff, you restart on the outside. I'm going to start on the inside, and I will give you the line getting into turn 1. That way, they don't race each other into turn 1, shove up the track, and get passed by everybody.
Good point.
So if they really were working together here and using their heads, that could be a real big benefit.
David Rudiman has been called to the NASCAR hauler to meet with officials after the race for bringing out that caution and not pitting. Pace car is in. First attempt at a green-white checker. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson at the front. Clint Bowyer and Brad Keselowski trying to steal one here. Green flag.
Look at Ryan Newman. He gave Bowyer a shot getting there.
Three wide.
There goes Newman. Newman's going to take the lead.
Good grief. That's exactly what I knew would happen.
That was not pretty. A dive bomb move into turn number 1, and 3 cars go spinning, including 2 of our leaders.
So now what do you do?
Let's look at this. Probably the best view is from above. Let's watch them come to get the green. Gordon inside, Johnson outside.
These 2 cars on the front, they got old tires. They can't get going. These 2 cars behind them have got fresh tires. They can take off, man. And this is what happens. Bowyer blocked Newman, shot him down in there 3 wide. There you go.
And as they all get dusted up, Newman gets the lead, and Allmendinger comes out second with Truex third.
If they would have only done what I suggested, that would have never happened.
Jimmy Johnson comes down, racing Gordon into the corner, but Bowyer already has the low groove, and there just wasn't room for 3 cars in that small a space. All right, we get 3 tries at this.
Yeah, when Bowyer dove to the inside, he actually got that shot from Ryan Newman, and that right there, you can see that wasn't going to work.
Well, you know who's sitting in the catbird seat? The 88. He got fuel and left side tires.
Riding with Clint Bowyer. Gets a big run.
There you go. Inside, outside.
And no room.
Almost made it. That was almost a great move.
And let's ride with Jimmy Johnson.
Inside, 2 wide inside, 2 wide inside, 2.
And let's ride with Dale Jr.
There you go. Everything's checking up front of you a little bit there. Keep coming there. 1 inside, just to 39. Stay low here. They're going to go low, go inside, 1 inside, 1 inside. Keep coming there, keep coming. Caution's out, you're third. Caution's out, you're third.
A.J. Allmendinger shot through, and now they're going to have to line things up before we can restart again.
Now I'm not so sure.
Here's what Jimmy Johnson had to say.
What in the hell went wrong?
That's a good question.
When you look at it, you'll see.
Oh, look at this mess. Steve?
Jeff Gordon just said they're out of fuel, Mike. 24 says he's out of fuel.
Now, Gordon stayed on the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson pitted. Gordon stayed out, shaking the car back and forth. And did we get one to go? We did not.
No.
They'll push him, Ev. They'll push him.
Gordon's car is coming to a halt.
They'll push him. I'm telling them.
Not too late for that. And
See,
Jeff Gordon, who could have won it, is now kind of coasting down the backstretch.
Now they've got a rule now. You can't do it now. Before you could do it anytime except on the last lap, but they changed that, I think, last year.
No, you're right. When they started doing that under caution, pushing each other.
You cannot push anyone when they're out of fuel.
You cannot. with the effect of helping that car save fuel. Correct. Now, of course, if you don't have any fuel, not much to save, but that is no consolation to Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson's going to give him a shove, and no, he's not. Evidently, he was reminded of the new rule as well. They're going to have to wait for the record. Now, Gordon is still on the lead lap, but that may change. And here's Bowyer to pit road, Dick.
Well, he's in. He's going to take tires on this car at this point, Mike, which is going to put him well back in the serial order. They've got some pretty good damage on this car that they're working on, particularly the right front corner.
I'll tell you another car I think has more damage than I realize is the 88 car. He made some pretty heavy contact in that wreck up there, too, to the right front.
Yes, when Bowyer spun and Junior hit him, we saw from the onboard.
Yeah.
That was a pretty heavy hit.
It was.
When I look at our top three, Mike and Darrell, Ryan Newman had a pit road speeding penalty, got a lap down, got a free pass. Brad Keslowski in the 2, speeding penalty, started at the tail end along this line. A.J. Allmendinger got a lap down and got the free pass.
I'm pretty sure I know who's leading this thing, but I don't know about the rest of them. I can't figure the rest of it out much.
What an April Fool's Day, folks. Here's another look at the aerial view. Watch Jimmy Johnson as he tries to come down and battle side by side with Jeff Gordon. He's got to know Clint Bowyer's down there somewhere as they come to turn number 1. But it's just 3 cars trying to fit through one little straw here.
But they just can't get going. Neither one of the 24 or the 48 like the 15 and the 2 could because they had fresh tires. And that's what really bottlenecked it up.
Clint Bowyer's team.
Faster than that, he shouldn't be out there. He knows better. It wasn't our fault.
A little cheerleading going on there. As we get ready to restart, they have to resort the order, again, based on the loop data and where the cars crossed the last timing line before the moment of caution. Those video replays like we showed you would help determine positions at the end of the race if caution flag ended the race. But we're not there yet. We could be 2 restarts away from there.
Well, there's a guy up there that's going to restart in 2nd spot, I think, or in 3rd spot, I guess. Where's Allmendinger going to start, 2nd or 3rd?
I believe we'll see.
Scoring.
Right now it's 39-288. We're inside row 2 on fresh tires, buddy. Do what you do best here, man. The run is the holder up. Let's go.
Dale Jr.'s got a shot. He's the last remaining bullet at the front of the field for Rick Hendrick. And we found, by the way, the lucky horseshoe. It's an A.J. Allmendinger's car. Boy, did he slip through there up into 2nd spot.
And who is a first-time winner? Who would be a first-time winner of this little crowd right here?
Well, A.J.
You got it.
And I guarantee he wants to win this thing.
But I don't know if Dale Jr., I know he's got good tires. I just don't know how good his car is after that accident.
And hello, Newman. From pit road speeding penalty to the lead. After Clint Bowyer got tangled up with Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, it was Ryan Newman who shot through to the front spot.
This is just creating more and more anticipation.
Well, I know this crowd we've got here today, they're getting their money's worth.
They have stood and sat here for 3 hours and 24 minutes in anticipation of that last restart and this next one.
Well, Rick's got one more shot at 200, and there he is. I believe this is just when you say, here I go. Whatever happens, happens. I don't care.
Ready for green, white checker, round 2. Newman, Allmendinger, Earnhart, Truex, Kenseth in 5th with Hamlin. Green flag.
It's a drag race in the 1.
Allmendinger got a good bite off the corner, side by side, door handle to door handle.
He's hanging. He's hanging on that outside. Newman's going to have to run him up the hill a little bit. Side by side, coming to get the white.
And hello, Newman. But Allmendinger's going to have one more shot at him. White flag in the air. Next flag ends the race.
Do the cross. Get behind him and cross over.
I guarantee you Allmendinger will drive it down in there this time in the turn 3.
Yeah, he's letting him go, Larry. He's He gotten away from him.
Junior third. It's a drag race for fourth. And Ryan Newman wins the Goody's Fast Relief 500.
That was my pick. I mean, all along, I thought surely Newman would win this thing.
From a pit road penalty for speeding to the victory, and A.J. Allmendinger gets a hard-fought second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. third. Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex, the top 5. Wow.
I'm going to get me an onion tomorrow.
Yeah, it's better to top 10.
That's right. Might even get a steak, go with it.
Get you a hot dog now.
Look at the boss. Boss rides up.
And for Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, Gordon ends up 6th, Johnson 12th. Unbelievable.
Rick, he's got to be like, oh my gosh.
I mean, for so much of this race, he had 3 drivers running up in the top 3.
Yeah, we thought they were going to run 1, 2, 3.
Ryan Newman for Stewart-Haas Racing will drive his Chevrolet into Martinsville's victory lane and get to wind that grandfather clock. Stay with us.
NASCAR on Fox in Martinsville, Virginia, and who would have figured this, April Fools or not, Ryan Newman in victory lane in the longest Martinsville race ever. He completes it, a victory for Stewart-Haas Racing. Steve Burns is down there.
Well, Ryan Newman, that was about as dramatic of a victory as we've seen. Tell us about the end of that race. How did you win it?
The first green white checker, I told the guys on the radio, I said, listen, good job today. I'm not sure if I can bring it back. And that's when the whole deal happened in turn 1. But first of all, got to thank Outback and making this Chevrolet here today. And obviously a great Bloomin' Onion Monday for them. And Sprint for all they do for this series. And Coca-Cola, man, I burned one right there in victory lane. But U.S. Army, I got like eight primary sponsors this year. U.S. Army Quicken Loans, Wix Filters, Bass Pro Shops, Aspen Dental, Tornadoes, Haas Automation. Obviously the fans are a big part of this sport, and really need to thank Hendrick as well. I mean, their support with the engines and stuff, the engine's been phenomenal all year. Tony Stewart, everybody, Stewart-Haas, this group of guys, awesome day for the Outback Chevrolet.
Ryan, it looked like it was going to be a shootout between the 24 and the 48. Had you given up hope at any point, or did you think you had a shot?
Well, it was just circumstances with the 10 there, doing what he did. I'm not sure what happened, if he ran out of fuel, had a problem or whatever, but man, it was some long green flag running. I was getting, my left foot was ready to retire, but, it was awesome finish for us. Yeah, we got circumstances there, put us in the right position, but the guys did a great job with the car to come back from a lap down.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, here with Clint Boyer. Clint, take us through that last restart and how everything kind of unfolded.
Yeah, it was just a bad situation for everybody. I mean, I had a good day. Clearly, those Hendrick cars were class to the field all day long, and that's the nature of the beast. I don't know what the hell the 10 car was doing. He drove around there for 10 laps with no brakes and finally just stopped. That was ridiculous, but I hate it for those guys. I hate it for our guys. We ended up 10th and should have been, easily a 4th place finish there. And you got tires. They don't. They spin the tires. The 39 hits you in the rear. I mean, if I didn't go down there, the 39 was, and we just all run out of real estate. And that's the nature of the beast at this place.
How about you and Gordon? I saw you there. You were talking to him.
Oh, we're fine. Like I said, I hate it for him too. We both come out losers in that deal.
All right, thank you, Jeff. It sounds like the drivers feel the 10 car is David Rudeman playing the fool in this when with 4 laps to go, the Hendrick cars with Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson had a victory all but wrapped up. But staying out, and as Mike Joy mentioned, taken to the NASCAR hauler to meet with the officials, bringing out that caution. And then, of course, giving Ryan Newman and Stewart-Haas Racing, as we check out the unofficial results here in Martinsville, they've won now their 3rd race of 6 races so far this season. Tony Stewart winning the other 2.
Yeah, that's right. And just think about Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. They had already begun beating and banging on each other, so who knows how this thing would have wound up. But what a dramatic finish with the restart. Guys with fresh tires made it interesting at the end.
Jeff Gordon winding up 14th. The points leader coming in, Greg Biffle, who started 26th, wound up 13th. As you look at the rest of the field, Jeff Gordon leading 328 laps. Ryan Newman leading only 12 laps. But you heard Ryan Newman talk about the Hendrick Chevrolet equipment that they use at Stewart-Haas Racing, beating Hendrick Motorsports.
That's the key to all the success that Stewart-Haas has, is their partnership with Hendrick Motorsports. Tremendous working relationship, benefits both those organizations.
Jimmie Johnson led 112 laps, was in position to win before the unusual finish, and Dick Bergwood is standing by with Jimmy.
Well, he drove well enough to win. He had a car that was good enough to win. Take us through the crash. Take a look at the monitor, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, we just restarted and got going, and that inside lane is awfully inviting at times to dive bomb on people, and in the 15 threw a dive bomb in there, and I'm sure once he got in there he realized it wasn't the best idea, and he was hoping that 12 tires were going to be a lot better than 4, and it turned me around, turned 24 around, but it is what it is. It's short track racing. Certainly wish it wouldn't have happened, and wish Clint was more patient there getting started on the restart. But nothing I can do about it now. We still got a decent finish out of it, so we'll take some decent points. Really thought that we had a chance to get Rick his 200th win today. And just unfortunate that the Smilo Chevrolet is all beat up and didn't have a chance to get the trophy.
Jimmie Johnson with a sportsmanlike way of handling it. Krista?
With Jeff Gordon, who was in contention to win this race until that final caution came out. You went and talked with Clint Boyer. What did you say?
Well, Clint and I are friends, and I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great race car driver, and I'm glad I talked to him before I talked to you guys, because I was pretty mad at him. And he said he got hit from behind, from the 39, and I heard that from my team as well. I didn't get the best restart, so when he first showed his nose down there, I thought, okay, but we'll make it work. But he came through there with so much speed, there was no way, and I had nowhere to go. Jimmy had nowhere to go, and it was pretty unfortunate. I didn't want to see that last caution. Man, we had such a great battle with the 48, and he's so tough here, and to be able to even get up beside of him, and I had to rough him up a little bit, but I felt like I had the position to get the lead, and our car was pretty good on entry right there. His car was better on exit. It was going to be an interesting race. That's just the way our year's been going, and it can't go like this forever. We're just going to keep working, keep bringing race cars like that, drive in Hunger Chevrolet right there, and we'll be fine.
Thanks, Jeff.
What an afternoon for Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson, but in the end, Ryan Newman, part of Stewart-Haas Racing, with his 16th career Cup win, and there is Tony Stewart, who is part of Stewart-Haas Racing as an owner and a driver, and as Hendrick Motorsports has no wins in their last 12 races for Stewart-Haas, their third win of this season already. Ryan Newman in from the outback, completing the second green-white checker, 515 laps. Back live in Martinsville towards the end of the race, it was the usual suspects, Johnson and Gordon, but like Kaiser Sose out of nowhere, Ryan Newman in victory lane as they celebrate. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had led 3 laps earlier in the race, surviving to finish third. He's standing by with our Matt Yoakum.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes home a crazy third-place finish first. Walk us through the melee.
Well, I don't know what happened. I know the 15 dove into the bottom, and that's his right. I mean, he was doing what he wanted, trying to do to win the race. It's a green-white checkered, and that's what you're going to get here. So I think Clint did what he needed to do, and it just caused a little bit of trouble on the outside down there, and we ran into the 24, and luckily we didn't knock the tire off of it. It bent something over there and was dragging the sway bar on the last couple laps, but I just don't know what the 10 was thinking with a broke sway bar arm driving around there at 15 mile an hour for 2 or 3 laps and not pitting. Come down pit road. Hell, how many laps down are you? Get on pit road. Get out of the race. And the ending shouldn't have ended like that. It was unfortunate.
All right, thanks, Dale.
Yep.
All right, so the 10, again, David Ruderman, who created a lot of problems for not doing the right thing in NASCAR looking into that. Michael Waltrip Racing, he was once one of your drivers, no longer.
No, this is unexplainable, but, sometimes things go on in those cars, you don't understand them. Look at the points, though. A great battle at the top of the board with Dale Jr. closing in on Biffle. Jr.'s coming after him.
Kevin Harvick taking a hit as he came in second, but Greg Biffle surviving nicely at one point at the halfway mark. He was a lap down. You see where Jimmie Johnson, Carl Edwards, who at this point last year was leading in points, still has not led a lap this year, but hung around long enough. And A.J. Allmendinger, we're going to hear from him in a moment. His second place finish, 20th currently. Let's get some final thoughts. Go back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Well, thanks, Chris. 2 rules of physics apply in any short track shootout. As Jimmy said, 8 wheels corner better than 4, or 12 in this case. But on a flat track, cars slide to the high side, and the inside lane is where you can steal one.
Oh, yeah, you knew that was coming. I mean, the 2 cars on the front had old tires. They're not going to have the grip to take off. Boyer, on the other hand, he had new tires. He had the grip. He took the line, but when Jeff Gordon got into him, it wrecked them all. And if you like, the best part was Newman. He just scooted right by everybody and took the lead.
And so did Allmendinger.
Yeah, I think when I look at the top 2 finishers today, it's a classic case of don't give up. Ryan Newman, a speeding penalty, got a lap down, got a free pass. A.J. Allmendinger was way off when he started race. He went a lap down, got a free pass, and when the checkered flag waved, there they were, first and second. Allmendinger, a career best finish.
Messed up my bracket.
It's a finish the fans will talk about for a long, long time.
A career best day for A.J. Allmendinger. A coulda, woulda, shoulda, almost a win. But for you, started the day out in the Infield Care Center, and to have this type of day, how impressive for you and this team?
Maybe I just need to go to the nurse's office, take a shot every day. I mean, it's I felt so bad this morning, and they gave me something to make me feel better, and Todd Gordon and everybody on the Shell Pennzoil Dodge gave me a good race car, so it makes it a lot easier when in there when you got a good race car. And ultimately, I don't know if we had a second place car, but we had a good enough car. We had a really good car in the long run, and I felt like once 60, 70 laps got on the tires, we'd have such good forward drive off. But in hence on the restarts, we didn't have great turns, so I knew it was going to be tough to get around Ryan. He ran me really clean. He didn't run me up the racetrack like he could have, and he ran me clean. And ultimately, of course, I'd love to win the race, but from where we started this weekend, just the kind of luck we've had all season so far, these guys, they're used to running up front. They deserve to run up front. I'm doing everything I can to get them there, so hopefully this is a good energy boost, and rest during the off weekend for once, and be ready to go next in Texas.
Mark it down. Second place for A.J. Allmendinger.
A.J. Allmendinger jumping 6 spots, moving up to 20th, so a big move for him points-wise. How about the aggressive racing? You don't want to hear it's just Martinsville. That's just short-track racing, but that really is part of it towards the stretch.
It's circumstances. The 2 guys on the front row on old tires, they can't get going. Boyer did what anybody else in the field sitting in that 3rd spot would have done. He dove 3 wide. If he hadn't have done that, Newman already shown that he was going to take Boyer 3 wide. Don't blame anybody other than circumstances. That's hard racing.
Now, he's with Michael Waltrip Racing. What about blaming David Rudiman in the 10 car? Seems like everybody else is.
Well, I'm going to just lay out on that one.
Okay, speaking of laying out, let's check up promotional considerations provided by All right, well, maybe we'll get some answers. Our Dick Berggren is with David Rudiman.
David, what happened out there?
You know, number one, I just hate it. I don't even know how the race ended up finishing, but it just, I hate that I was involved in anything that changed the complexion of the race. So I got to apologize to the guys that it affected. But, you know, it broke a left front, it broke a tire rod or something like that. And I was just trying to limp around out there. We needed to try to finish the next couple laps to try to stay in the top 35. And then the motor had been breaking up for the last couple laps. And whether it broke a timing belt or whatever going down the back straightaway, the motor just quit. I would not have quit. I would not have stopped on the freaking racetrack. I would have limped it around there and come to pit road, which is exactly what I was trying to do. The thing quit going down the back straightaway, and it shut off. I just didn't stop there intentionally. And I know it sucks, and I hate it for everybody that affected. But, I mean, I can't get out and push the thing. You know, it shut off. I mean, it's that simple. And, gosh, I can't believe I'm in it. I was just trying to finish the day out and trying to stay in the top 35, which is why we were trying to limp around out there. They gave me the black flag. We were coming to pit road, and it shut off. And that's as far as I could go.
Thank you, David. Chris?
Thank you, and a sincere, heartfelt apology.
I know that man. He's a racer. He's not going to pull over and stop just to change the complexion of the race. His car broke. It's a shame it broke. What people were questioning is why he didn't come to pit road, and I said earlier, you don't know what's going on in that car? Top 35 in points. That's a big deal. Danica Patrick's going to drive that car in a few weeks. They're fighting to stay inside the top 35. Circumstances is what led David Rudiman into making that mistake.
How about going back to strategy where we had the caution before the restart with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, teammates, but is there a way they could have played that on the restart?
Those tires had 130 laps on them, Chris. He's got 850 horsepower under the hood. They're just not going to hook up. They're going to hook up good enough to get going, but not like those guys on new tires. I knew by the time they got to turn one they were going to be 3 wide. I just hoped they'd all make it out. They didn't.
All right, worried about fuel for part of the time as well. The second green-white checkers. You see what's coming up tonight on Fox. Animation Domination. The Simpsons at 9:30 American Dad. And next Saturday, our season premiere. Major League Baseball returns on Fox. Join us when you can. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. The Cardinals coming off the World Series win, but Albert Pujols is now a member of the Angels. And after you enjoy your Easter holiday weekend, we're at Texas for a Saturday night race. Matt Kenseth dominated last year, 169 laps, winning his first of 3 races last season. So Jeff Gordon, 328 laps led. Jimmy Johnson led for a little bit, and so did Dale Earnhardt Jr. But in the end, the guy with the degree from Purdue in vehicle structural engineering, Ryan Newman, ends up in victory lane. For Michael Waltrip, I'm Chris Myers. You stay classy, Martinsville.